Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. Tonight, we are taking a break from our usual games to try taking something new out for a spin. Tonight, we are going to be playing Off Guard Games' new Forged in the Dark game, Band of Blades. And with me, taking this very cool game for a spin, are some of the usual stars of our Friday night sessions. I'll go the order that you guys logged in. First up is Jeffrey.
Hey, everybody.
And Steve-O.
Yo.
And Brent.
Hey.
So one of the things we have done, this is the first time we're going to be trying to play Band of Blades. Well, actually, that's not true. Last night, Steve and I took it out for a very brief spin off camera to try and play through some stuff. But for Jeff and for Brian, this is the second time we're playing a Forged in the Dark game. For those who are unfamiliar, the Forged in the Dark games are based on the very cool Blades in the Dark game written by John Harper and published by Evil Hat Games. Band of Blades is one of the really interesting one that departs from the usual tropes of the Forged in the Dark games, which is generally you playing scoundrels, to take more of a military fantasy approach. And in this game, the guys are playing members of a legion that is currently fleeing the crushing defeat that the armies of man have suffered at the hands of the sinister Cinder King. I think what we'll do is we will explain sort of what's going on in the game as we go, both for the benefit of the viewers at home and also for the benefit of Brent and Jeff, who haven't played this yet. So the game, broadly speaking, guys, has two different modes. I mentioned there's two different sort of modes that we switched between, one of them being the battlefield element where you're playing the individual soldiers in the mission phase, and then the command level decisions that are made during the campaign phase. And then we also do some other what's called free play that can happen to sort of fill in scenes back at the camp. And that's something that we haven't talked about yet because I want to just play through that. So one thing I do want to mention just again, guys, is that this is what's called a fiction first game. So it's really important that when we're describing things, we want to be thinking about what's happening in the story. One of the reasons I mentioned that they call what would be called skills in other games, they're called actions, is because it's another kind of cue for you to think of. It's the action you're taking. We only really pick up the dice when something interesting is going to happen, and that things will be changed afterwards. I won't be, apart from maybe some fortune rolls, guys, I'm not making any rolls in this. Everything is just like in the Fantasy Flight games. Everything's dictated by one roll. So you'll see sort of how that plays out. One thing I do want to mention, actually, no, we'll talk about resistance rolls as we go. Brent or Jeff and Steve, I know you guys have the cheat sheets that have the resistance rolls and the action rolls. Brent, did you happen to print that off?
No, I just printed the playbooks.
Okay, so if you could take a look at that, open that to the page that has in the PDF that has these on it. Because that's something you'll be referring to quite a bit.
Okay.
So let's give it what we're for those listening at home. Before we went live, we actually made selections for the characters for the guys to play to determine what role they're going to play, and also what playbook they're going to start with, what character they're going to start with. So maybe why don't we do this, guys, just to provide some context for this. Each of you go through same order, Jeff, then Steve, then Brent. Tell us what playbook you selected, who your character is, and then tell us what role you're playing in the Legion.
Okay, sure. I selected the heavy playbook, and my character's name is Crimson Striking Gale.
Nice.
And his special ability is War Machine.
Very cool. And what's your role?
Flavor. And the role that I selected is the Marshal.
Okay.
The Marshal's name is Rashi Manabar.
Nice.
He is young and ambitious.
The version of the game that we're playing is the digital or early release, and you're not required to name the roles in that version. But we decided to do that because we thought it'd be cooler to have an actual name as well as sort of a mental picture of who these characters are. Steve, what playbook did you select, and what role are you filling?
I selected the sniper playbook and the commander roles, and my sniper's name is Yuko Rodano, and my commander's name is Boriev Ananikovich.
Nice. And last but not least, Brent, what playbook did you pick, and what role are you serving?
All right, I have taken the medic playbook. I'm playing Albin Zartani. Actually, I'm thinking of having him look sort of like Rutger Hauer from Lady Hawk, and like that. But with his armor has a he's got like a metallic mask that's has like features like of a wolf.
Cool.
And the role I'm playing is the quartermaster, and the quartermaster's name is Anton.
Very cool. All right. So to give it context for what's happened here, the guys, the playbooks indicate that you are one of the few surviving soldiers of the Legion. Guys, the Legion is something that was founded in the time of the Empire. The Empire was like this massive sort of like corrupt Roman Empire type thing. And the Legion was originally founded to fight like basically like supernatural threats. The world of Band of Blades, as I mentioned before we went live, is really malleable. Like there's really only broad strokes to the game, and then we use the fiction to sort of fill in what kind of world we're playing in. But there are certain assumptions about that world, and those assumptions are there are no dragons, no elves, no dwarves. While this is a fantasy setting, it is not that kind of fantasy setting. It is an old world. There are ruins of the past, remnants of the past chosen, great beasts, and wounds on the lands from troubles that came and went. Most of it's forgotten until the old Empire discovered alchemy and codified writing. So as we go through this journey from the Western Front all the way to Skydagger Keep, you guys will be encountering some of the remnants of the past. Magic causes as many problems as it solves, but there are no wizards. So there is magic in the world, but generally it is either something that is a fallout of the God War or the God's War, or some other supernatural thing. There aren't guys chucking fireballs around. Alchemy is a science, so it has certain logic behind it, and there are certain sort of rules behind it, which means that you can't like make a mind control, potion, but you could make like effectively like alchemist fire, or what we think of as alchemist fire or Greek fire. Prayer does nothing. While the gods do certainly manifest themselves in the form of the chosen, prayer itself doesn't do anything. That doesn't mean that people don't believe that prayer does things. It just means that someone objectively looking at the world would say, no, prayer doesn't do squat. Strength and courage solve problems. With big enough armies, even chosen may die. The God's War proved this. Chosen need troops as much as troops rely on them. Strength, training, and skill can often make more of a difference than superstition, supernatural power, or hope. And finally, there is no prophecy. Nothing is written. Nothing is preordained. There are no words carved into stones that say what will be. There is no fate. You make your own destiny. There is no chosen protected by plot. Anyone can die. This also does not stop people from believing otherwise. So again, even though that's the feel of the game, that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't encounter characters that necessarily believe that they are, agents of the divine or something like that. In particular, in times like these where they have suffered such catastrophic losses. Now, I mentioned that the Legion was founded in the time of the Old Empire. That was about, I believe, about 400 years ago. When the Old Empire fell about 400 years ago-ish, or no, I think it's about 300 years ago or 350, the Legion became the preeminent mercenary unit in the Eastern Kingdoms. So all you guys have fought in all the different nations that you guys have come from, as well as abroad. The most valuable thing that the Legion has is something called the Annals, which is like the history of the Legion. Because the Legion has served so many different masters in so many different places. The Legion has seen near destruction before too, but it's largely because it faces such incredibly powerful and supernaturally powerful entities. So perhaps it wasn't a surprise that the Legion was hired to fight against the Cinder King about 3 years ago. Now, the Cinder King was a chosen, but something happened. He or she, I guess it's a king, so it's a he gained access to some kind of artifact that's called I think it's the Crown of 9 Points or something like that. It's this fiery artifact that dramatically increased his power. He then immediately used it to kill a city with sorcery. And then since that time, he has been raising an undead army. And undead have always been sort of like a thing in the setting, but it's not like a traditional fantasy setting where there's like ghouls in every graveyard or you know, skeletons to be found in every tomb. It's really a rarity. This is was a shocking development. In the course of his march from the west, the Cinder King annihilated the different nations, and then he started marching across and destroying this place called Aldermark. And Aldermark is, none of you guys are Aldermani, none of you guys are from that ethnicity, but they're sort of a kingdom that the capital, which was God, it's not Rittermark, what's it called? I'll have to take a look in a second, guys. I forget already the name of the capital, but it's just across the bridge here. Basically, if you can picture right across the bridge here, which is, I believe, called the Holenbrook Bridge, there is the city. And the Cinder King actually managed to march his armies all the way in to around here, guys. It's like near Gallows Pass and Westlake. But then the armies from the east all came in, including the Legion, and drove them back across the river here and away. One of the main reasons they were able to do that was the invention of black shot, using that stuff to destroy undead. And the last 3 years has effectively been kind of like World War I style trench warfare, where everyone's been dug in and kept the Cinder King and his Broken, which are other corrupted chosen, at bay. But yesterday, things dramatically changed. Yesterday, all sorts of horrific new undead in unforeseen numbers suddenly rushed and destroyed your lines and left you fleeing through that city and trying to, basically in disarray, trying to go back and find some way of combating these hordes. But at this point, it seems like an overwhelming mass. We saw last session, or last mission, I should say, how Yuko made his way through the city. It's not Aldermark is the name of the place, and the old capital is called, one second, guys, it's gonna drive me bonkers otherwise. Where is it? Aldermani. I don't know what the name of it is. Dang it. I actually spent a bunch of last night looking it up after we played. And then I was like, how that's what it is. I would never forget that again. Turns out I was catastrophically wrong about my attention span. 1 second, let's see. So the river that you cross is the Tigeria. Tigeria is the name of the big river across which this bridge is placed. And 1 sec here, I think it's in the setting place here. While I'm looking this up, guys, oh, hold on, I find it. Aldermark, oh, Carlsberg. Carlsberg is the name of the city. So Carlsberg is the ruined capital, twice over ruined. It was ruined once when the Cinder King marched through it, ruined a second time as the Cinder King and his armies were pushed back. So where we find our guys is basically at a kind of like a rally point for the army. I'm making a small change from before, Steve. You were making your way across the bridge, and it's right across. No, I guess it is across the bridge. Across the bridge, there's a rally point that isn't quite at the western front. Now, you guys are have been cobbled together. I don't think that you guys have necessarily served together unless you want to say otherwise. You guys are sort of thrown together with this one squad. And there are two bits of bad news that we've got. Is one, the Legion is still fleeing. The Legion is really in a desperate panic, trying to get back and put together, trying to like reestablish some sort of order and turn this horrible rout into an organized retreat towards Skydagger Keep. What the commander has sort of come up with is that this is the point we need to sort of hunker down in. Now that's months of journey through the eastern reaches of Aldermark, but that's sort of the first step is getting the Legion organized. But one of the second bad thing though is that the chosen Alana, she was seen to disappear during the she helped.
Kev, I'm being called away. I'll be right back in a minute. Sorry to interrupt you.
The Alana came back with you guys to the initial rally point, but then she was seen by some sentries just walking away from camp at some point, and you don't know where the fuck she is. So there are two massive armies commanded by the Broken, by the Blighter, and the Render that are bearing down on you guys, and she's nowhere to be found. So the commander has determined that what needs to happen. There's a bunch of other stuff that's happening that your particular characters are not aware of right now. But what absolutely has to happen is the bridge across that river, the Tigeria, it needs to be blown. This bridge has been there. If you picture, you walked across it already or marched across it. The bridge is sort of like, if you picture this river is like the size of the Mississippi. It's this massive sweeping river. So it's a huge bridge. And it's built over too. So if you think of like old European style bridges where they've got big, bits built up around them, that's what is stretching across the Tigeria. And you guys need to use alchemical charges. Take your squad, get back there, and plant these alchemical charges, and then blow that bridge. So that is what your mission will be. This will be effectively an assault mission. And yes, and that's it. So mechanically, guys, what we need to decide now is, let's wait. Whenever Brent gets back, you guys can make the decision for if there are any resources you want to spend. But the Marshal, Jeff, if you take a look at your Marshal book,
yeah,
this is an assault mission. So what the first thing we're going to do is we are going to roll the engagement roll to determine basically like how difficult this task will be for you. So if you take a look at the playbook for Marshal,
yeah,
there's some questions that we can ask right away. So first off, Legion loyalty. Are all on the mission oath sworn to the Legion? We got I think that you do get that because it's only Legionnaires you're bringing with you. So you're going to be getting 1 dice for that.
Yeah.
Did you spend intel? Well, unfortunately, the commander doesn't have any intel right now, so you can't spend that. Is everyone on the mission a specialist or a soldier? Well, no, because your squad is full of rookies. Does any soldier distrust or not fear the leadership enough to obey the orders in the battlefield? We haven't determined anything like that in the game so far or in the fiction so far, so we don't need to. That's not the case. Are required specialists or equipment not on the mission? So what you need is the alchemical supplies, which you will have, and you need a specialist. So because this is an assault mission, Commander, if you look at your sheet, it'll tell you what minimums you need.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey, Brent. So what the mission is, Brent? We're just talking about what the engagement role is going to be. You guys need to go back and blow the massive bridge that stretches across from Carlsberg across the Tigeria River to try and slow this undead advance. The other little tidbit you might have missed is that Alana last night went walking off. The sentries saw her walking away from camp, and they have no idea where she's gone. So this is, you guys are sort of like the last chance at blowing this bridge and slowing the marching armies to try and give the Legion a chance to catch its breath, recoup at the Western front, and then figure out what the hell it's going to do. So the assault mission requires, where is it here? Maybe it's the, oh, hold up. It is maybe the Marshal who says that.
Kevin, am I going to need some dice to roll?
You will, yeah, D6s.
Okay, I'm just going to grab dice. I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay. So while he's gone, Brent, what we're doing is this mission is an assault mission. So what can be spent is if you spend 1 tick of your black shot, then you get to add, or Jeff gets to add +1 dice to his engagement roll.
All right. And are we talking about the black shot that I could get on my player book or the one from the quartermaster roll?
On the quartermaster. This is the decision made at in the campaign phase. This is before the campaign phase happens first, and then we go into the mission.
Gotcha.
Okay. So normally, so the commander would get a chance to make a decision, but this is how you start the campaign off. All right. So Jeff, what I was saying in your absence is that Brent can spend, or the quartermaster can spend 1 black shot resource to give you +1 to your engagement roll as well.
Right.
So what we went through then, Jeff, how big is your engagement dice pool currently?
Oh, sorry, wrong. What? Where did I put it? Oh, here. It's just 1.
Ooh. All right, so right now you've got 1 dice. Brent, do you want to spend a tick of black shot to give him a +1?
That sounds like a plan.
Okay. What that also means, guys, is all your characters can equip black shot for free.
Okay.
All right, Jeff, that means you've got 2 dice. And what this will dictate, guys, is what your starting position will be for the mission. And we'll talk about what position is once we actually get to the actual mission.
So I roll 2d6?
Rolling 2d6, and you're going to look for the highest. If you happen to roll 2 6s, that's a critical success.
Is there anything else I can do to help his roll?
No, not on this mission.
No. Fortunately, no one's injured, though, and you do have everyone that is required for this. An assault needs either a, I think it's an officer, a, what do you call it?
So I want highest possible roll on 1 dice or 2 6s.
Yeah, or 2 6s. If you happen to roll 2 6s, and that's a crit. Otherwise, just look for the highest roll you make.
Well, I got 1 6. 1 dice fell off the table, and a 2. So we got a 6.
So 6 is great. So looking at the engagement roll outcomes on your Marshal playbook, what does it say for your primary mission?
So you're in a controlled position when the action starts.
Yep. So what that means, guys, is when you are making your first round of rolls, you'll be starting in a controlled position rather than a risky or a desperate position. Now, that means that you're going to be basically arriving in precisely the best position you would want to be in. So let's talk about first quartermaster. Are there any other resources you want to spend before we turn to the mission?
All right. Well, food wouldn't be useful. Okay. How does
If you have a question about how it works, it's on your playbook.
Okay. Let me just figure out, see if the alchemical stuff helps. Would the alchemist be able to create something that would help us blow up the bridge, or acid that would?
I'm assuming they have already. That was them. Like that's where you got your alchemical charges from.
Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise they only really get to act during the campaign phase, like during when you actually take campaign action, and you don't have an opportunity to do that before this particular mission, just because you're so this is so desperate.
Okay. I know it says horses reduce pressure by 1 when advancing.
That's something that happens during the campaign phase as well. That's when the whole legion moves from one location to another.
Okay, so I have nothing then to contribute, I believe.
Okay. So then, guys, we are going to be entering into this in a controlled position. So let's drop into the fiction now. So what our scene opens on, guys, is if you picture the kind of like mist-filled World War I trench kind of things you've seen in film, but this thing is devoid of people. It is nighttime. The entire region, the trees that are around here have been shattered or broken by the years of combat. The mud that surrounds the ground, you really can't distinguish between where the road ends and the side of the fields on the side begin, because it's just been churned up by the force of the retreat and pursuing undead. There is a heavy mist that still rolls or hangs in the air as well. And this bridge, the road that we see, it leads up to this bridge that it looks sturdy and stone. And it has these, on either side, as you enter this side of the bridge, there are these giant stone, like lion griffin kind of things. They're like a lion, but with some wings on the back as well. The bridge is slick with the wet rain. We hear the rush of the roaring Tiggeria River, swollen with the day's worth of rain. The moon is obscured by heavy clouds, not to the point where it's completely black, but so it's a dark night. But what is lighting the horizon, though, is the burning remnants of Carlsberg. Remember, Carlsberg has been a ruin for 3 long years. But tonight, it burns again, and it dances with the screams and the bellows, screams of the soldiers who were unfortunate to be forgotten behind or left behind, and the roars of the inhuman creatures that hunt those mist-shrouded ruins. The final sound thing that you can hear is the staccato beat of the Cinder King's percussion troops. We pan back now to the road, and we see 8 figures, stalking their way along in this darkened shroud. 5 of them sort of, one of the smaller 5 sort of stumbles and falls forward, and the other one's kind of like laugh at it. And one says, and it's a young voice we hear, says, hey, giggles, you don't want to drop that. You'll blow us all up. He says, shut up. This stuff's heavy. How come we couldn't get, and he sort of nods towards this massive, heavily armored figure. Why can't we get him to carry it? And one of the other ones, young guy, says, do you want to ask him? And they all sort of look over, and we see this massive figure stomping along. He's clearly heard everything, because it is quite, while the heavy mist has deadened some of the sounds, it still is, his keen ears have clearly picked up what's been said. Is there maybe like a slight tapering to your ears as well there, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds good.
Okay. So one thing I want to flash back to as well, too, guys, is I forgot one of the things that the commander gets to do. So, Commander, you have 0 intel right now,
Right.
which means that you get to ask one of the questions under the 0 intel list.
All right. A little late to ask what would be a useful item to bring.
Well, we actually are going to go to the pick your loads. I forgot to do that, so we'll do that in a moment.
Okay. What are 2 approaches we could use here?
2 approaches. Okay, so one approach you could do is to basically go and like drive whatever is on the bridge. If there's anything on the bridge, to drive it off and set sort of like a bulwark against them, and then get someone to work on planting the charges.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could try and approach from underneath, try and sneak in, and then gain access to the bridge. That's going to be a little, I think that probably is a little riskier, just because the river is so fast with the recent rains that that'll be a little more challenging to do, but that's the other way to maybe approach it.
Okay.
Okay. So one thing I did forget to do, guys, is we got to pick your loads. So what you do is go into your playbooks, and you'll see that there is 3 options: light, heavy, and normal. And what the basic difference between those different things is that they'll have an effect on the fiction in 2 different ways: is how stealthy you can be and how fast you can move. So someone who is normally has a normal load, absent any other circumstances, will not be able to catch someone wearing a light load, and so forth. So why don't you guys pick which load you're going to pick, and then you're going to pick 2 extra options from your utility, and you can pick Black Shot for free because the what's his name picked, or Brent, the quartermaster, spent that resource for you. So,
All right. I think I'm going to go with a normal load.
okay.
Because I'll need that allows me to do more healing.
Okay. That's right. You got 2 medical supplies then, and then you get to pick 2 utility options too, Brent.
Okay, and we already have Black Shot.
Yep. If you want to know what your abilities do as well, Brent, I think it's 1 page forward. The guys have this printed already, but on the inside of the cheat sheet, it tells you what all your abilities do.
Wait,
you might
Kev,
notice
you said we were wrecking on this mission?
you are going to it's rig, because you're placing alchemical charges. What it'll be is some rig. What the actions I foresee to the whole planting of the charges thing is going to be a 10-tick clock.
Okay.
Which is below the bridge. Let me just create a clock here. It's 4, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8. And a 10-tick clock is not easy to draw. There we go. All right. So what we got here, guys, is a 10-tick clock for blowing the bridge. So, and I'm assuming that the rookies are carrying the charges for now. The person who wants to place them, whoever wants to climb over the side and place those things, or climb up from the bottom and place them, then you can feel free to do that.
We can probably figure out, we can work together to determine some of our like utility gear. Like, for example, one person could take supplies and one different person could take a lantern, but I don't think everyone needs.
So what supplies do is if it's going to take more, this is like, it will take a couple hours. You will not be gone for a full day. Supplies
okay, so I
food.
don't, for each day, yeah.
Probably won't need supplies. You won't need winter clothing. That's really only when you're traveling through the mountains.
I'm taking a large weapon.
Nice.
Um,
What load are you carrying there, Crimson?
Just a normal.
Normal load. Okay. So you're actually moving so quietly because of your Panyar ability. You're not like clattering along in this heavy armor. You're moving with a like fine precision.
and are we doing this at night or day?
Nighttime.
Night. Okay. And the other question is, do I need a bandolier to make use of the alchemical stuff?
You do. You do. Yeah.
Okay. So I will take a hand weapon and a bandolier.
Okay. All right. And what about you there, Yuko?
Yuko's taking his light load.
Okay.
Ammo and soldier's kit, I guess, same as usual.
And soldier's kit.
All right.
Okay. And you got Black Shot for free.
Right.
All right.
Would a lantern be useful? Do we have a lantern?
Well, I didn't take a lantern, but I can do something called Owl Sight. It's an alchemical item. Allows a person to see in the dark, but they become blind the next day. So if this draws to morning, then we're screwed. If it's only a night mission and we can make it back before day, then it's super awesome because we won't have the light of a lantern lighting, giving our position away.
Yeah.
But
so here's one thing I want to introduce you guys to is the concept of a flashback. Anytime, at any point, you can say, "Oh, I want to do a flashback," and you just tick off one point of stress, and then you add in whatever. So it could have been like, "Oh, you know what? I actually handed that owl sight to Steve's character before we got to here." Like, you don't need to do that right now, but I'm using that as an opportunity to point out that that's something you can do. You can edit the sort of scene. Band of Blades, just like Blades in the Dark, it tries to get around that whole like Shadowrun spend 2 hours or 3 hours planning. It wants you to be in the action right away and use that flashback mechanic to add shit in if you need to.
Right.
So, speaking of action, looks like we've got all our stuff. Did you pick your second item there, Jeff?
What second item?
Well, you get you took a large weapon, and I'm not sure what the second one was.
Oh.
And you also get to pick either.
Well, I have a flare gun, armor, a hand weapon, fitted heavy plate, and a large weapon. So you're saying I would have also brought one other thing along?
Yeah, well, what happens is you automatically get what's under the normal load and what's under the light load. So you already got fitted heavy armor, and then you get to pick either a shield or a large weapon. And it sounds like you picked large weapon. Then you also get to pick 2 utility things. So you could pick a shield then as well, and then maybe something else.
Someone might want to pick a lantern.
I don't want to be seen.
Yeah, I guess.
By carrying a lantern, I'll take a shield.
Okay. What's the other thing?
When you're suggesting that in the camp, Crimson looks at you and he says, "You carry the shield, medic, or you carry the lantern."
You get one more utility to pick there too, Jeff. I'll let you.
One was black shot.
Black shot is for free.
Oh, I used it from the quartermaster ability.
No, because you picked it because of your. No, you can't pick it again. It's fairly limited stuff. Like it's a valuable resource, so you're only able to get a certain amount, and you happen to get it for free right now because the quartermaster felt it was important for you guys to have this. Well, but one more utility thing.
Hey, Kev.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I fucked up in character creation. I got +1 discipline from Stern, making it 3. So I'll just move it to what's it called? To Rig.
Well, what two? You took Stern, and what was the other one you took, Brent? The other trait?
Noble.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, and then I'm like, oh, hey, that puts me in like more than I can have. So I'll just move a point over.
To what?
To Rig.
To Rig. Okay, cool. Yeah, that fits with being the Orite as well. Okay, cool. So, guys, let's. You guys are coming up to this place. What's the way you want to? What happens next? Like, are you guys sneaking up here? The bridge, from where you can see, it's full of like abandoned carts and like smashed crates and stuff like that. It's evident that some kind of mass retreat has gone on here. However, the bridge is shrouded in shadows as well, and there are giant black areas where you're not sure what or who might be lurking within there. And you hear as this bird alofts and lands at this the nearest sort of like support beam near the top of the bridge, and it kind of clocks and kind of looks at you, and as the moonlight catches its eye, you see it's reflected. You sort of look at it.
Uh-oh.
So what are you going to do, guys? The bridge is you're still sort of like maybe like 30 yards or so away from the bridge. What's the next thing that happens?
Is a bridge occupied by any of the enemy troops?
You can't tell right now. Remember, there's giant shadows and whatnot on there. So None you can see, but there's a lot of fucking shadows on that old bridge. And the river itself, the Tigrinya River, is like the width of the Mississippi. So this is a very long bridge.
Okay, so Jeff, you're our sharpshooter.
No, I'm the heavy.
I'm the sharpshooter.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Steve,
Yeah.
I'll pull a vial from my belt and offer you this. I can't see what's in the shadows. You've got the best sight. If you drink this, you'll be able to see in the night, but come dawn, the light of the sun will blind you.
Okay. I guess we better go with this because I got the best rig score too. So.
Okay.
So that might, help you scout.
Yeah.
So what do you? So you're taking that stuff and applying it.
I guess, yeah.
So I would mark off then one use for my bandolier. Is that how it would work?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So you sort of apply this stuff in, and sure enough, it you can actually see. And what I'll say, Steve, is that I'll give you one extra level of effect for whatever any kind of like scouting or whatnot thing. Basically, you're going to be able to ignore the effect of darkness.
Okay.
Which would normally penalize your level of effect. So what do you guys do then? What's going to happen here? You can pick one of you guys to command the squad, or you can have the squad do whatever you want to dictate. What do you think, guys? Let's describe some actions here.
Uko, can you see anything on the bridge now with that with your enhanced sight?
Can I?
Well, again, like we don't think of it in terms of what your, we don't think of it in terms of what, what skill you use for things. Remember, you describe an action.
Okay.
So what are you going to do? Like you could say that, you're going to sneak a little bit closer forward, running from one of these ruined and swollen, water-filled trenches to another, try and get to a better vantage point, or you scramble up a tree, to try and get to a vantage point and look down using your crude scope.
I like that scrambling up a tree idea. Why not? Do a little crow's nest.
So you go racing over there. So I think, to me, Steve, that sounds like you're going to be using Scout to try and look at this thing.
Sure.
And because of the engagement roll, we know that you are in a controlled position. So that's good. So we start making your dice pool with the number of dots you have in Scout. How many is that?
Okay. That's one.
One. Okay, so you got one dice from that. Then what you can also do is you can push yourself. So you take 2 strain to get an extra dice, or there's a devil's bargain maybe. And let me just tell you what the other characters can do. One thing I'll point out, guys, is on the same sheet with the resistance rolls, it tells you how group actions can work. So you can do things like you can assist, which is you take 1 stress to give the player 1 extra dice on their dice roll. So you describe how you do that. You could lead a group action. You could be using all the squad or even your allies to try and do that. But the difficulty is you do get to add all their dice to, like, each one of them adds a dice to the pool, but you take 1 stress for every time those people roll a 1, 2, or 3. Someone could use a protect. Well, protect's not what you're going to use, or someone could use a setup. What a setup does is it's similar to an assist, but what it does is it boosts up the effect by 1, or it improves your position by 1. So it makes something that's desperate into risky, or risky into control. So knowing that there are ways to help to give him some extra dice here, do either Crimson or Alban want, or the squad want to try and help him out?
So would the alchemical use be considered separate from like a assist or setup?
What that's just allowing that to do is he's going to ignore any of the. Normally, what I would do is I would say because of the darkness, it would be a reduced effect. But that's allowing him to ignore that now.
Okay.
So you can still do those other things. You don't have to, guys, but this is a way that you can engage with the fiction with your character and give a mechanical benefit to his character. Like
Right. And how much stress do we have?
you have right now you can take up to 6.
Okay.
If you take a 7th point of stress, then you gain a piece of trauma. Now, or point of trauma. One thing I want to point out, guys, is if you want to figure out how you get XP in this, because XP is really beneficial, take a look at your playbook. Your playbook will tell you the questions we're going to ask. Let me get the game to work here. Boom. At the end of the game, and if every one of these things you can answer a yes to, you get an XP for. So definitely try and keep an eye on what you need to do to role play your character properly, to play up your heritage, to live. So,
what's my trauma?
You don't have any trauma yet. Unless you guys have picked a trauma, you don't have it. You suffer trauma once you max out your stress. And you can see the traumas listed underneath where it says trauma. So traumas include like cold, haunted, obsessed, paranoid. It sort of like reflects the toll that combat and continual war has on your character. So Brent.
Okay, so I was gonna say, if I see him sort of hesitating, my character's pretty stern. So I'll look, well, go on, man. This is good. This will be easy for you. Someone of your talents, sort of like stern, but like trying to comfort and like boost him or reassure him.
Yeah. I love that because I mean he did seem pretty uncertain about using that alchemical crap in his eyes. So do you think that's assisting him then, Brent, or are you setting him up to get a better effect, or what?
Yeah, I think I'm setting him up. So when he goes there, yeah. So when he goes there, he's feeling more confident stuff.
Okay.
So
thanks. It is cheaper to help each other than it is to help ourselves. It is to push ourselves.
That's right. If you push yourself, it costs 2 stress. If you just spend 1 stress to help someone else to assist, then that is cheaper.
Okay. So so if I took 1 stress, the system would give him a dice, but if I set him up, the effect is increased by 1 level.
Exactly. Doesn't change whether he's the more likely to succeed or fail. It just means the nice thing is because you're in a controlled position, like even if you fail, you basically can try again.
Okay, I did the right thing then.
Yep. Okay. So, and Jeff, is there anything you want to do, or are you sort of sticking back with the squad at this point?
I think I'll sort of be back with the squad at this point.
Okay. So, Steve, you scramble up this sort of like throw your exotic long rifle over your back. You scramble up this tree. You get to a point and you sweep it down, and it's amazing because of that alchemical thing. It's like nearly as bright as day right now. So let's take a look and see what you can see. Let's make your roll. And again, looking for the highest roll, and we'll compare that to the results on controlled.
And does the alchemical stuff in my eyes, does that give me potency?
Effectively, what it does is it will boost your effect by 1. Right now, you would have had limited effect because of the darkness.
Okay. All right, here we go, rolling, and we roll I rolled a 6.
Nice. 1 6 or 2?
1 6.
1 6. Okay, cool. So 1 6 is I've actually started a clock for this, and you're looking. Well, you get a boosted effect as well, too, right?
Yeah.
So let's see here. Normally, I was going to give you 3 ticks. I think you get enough. You got 3 ticks on the clock right now because you got a great effect. There's something moving on that bridge in those shadows, clinging to them. You can't quite see what they are yet because they're the position you're in, but there is definitely something moving in there, and it seems like moving in a furtive, way. Like it's like there's an ambush set up in here.
Oh no! Okay.
You can't quite see what it is. What do you do?
I whisper to the gang that there might be an ambush.
Okay. So now I'm going to demonstrate what happens when what do you call it? How you use resistance, guys. I am declaring that as a result of that, the rookies all sort of like suddenly look at each other, and they are struck with a level 1 complication that is fear. Now, anytime that I say that something happens, guys, either a harm or a complication or whatever, what you guys can say is, nope, that didn't happen. And then what you do is you'll reduce, if it's a level 1 effect, it'll just not happen. And then you make a resistance roll using one of your attributes to try and find out how much stress you take instead. It's 6 minus whatever you roll as your highest roll. And if you roll a critical, if you roll 2 dice, then you, what do you call it? You will gain, you actually get to clear 1 stress. So that's what's happening.
If I see this, I look at them, and again, I'm this stern guy. I'm like, pull yourselves together.
Okay.
This is what we were expecting. Nice.
Okay. So then what you are doing, Brent, is you are protecting them. You are stepping in to try and resist this for them. Okay. So you can see there's like ashen look of across their faces, and you sort of steal them. I think that sounds to me like a resolve concert. So it's resolve is what you're using to resist this. So
like a discipline.
Well, no, you don't make an action. Resistance checks use one of your attributes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good to use the narrative to do that, but this is the way that we
gotcha.
Yeah. So what is your resolve?
How do I calculate my resolve? Or just the 2 boxes?
How many skills do you have?
3.
3. Yeah, so your resolve is a 3. That's pretty fucking good. So you got 3 dice. And as always, let me just double check this, but I think with resistances, you can also, just as usual, you can spend a stress to gain an extra dice, or 2 stress to gain extra dice, but that doesn't make any sense because you're rolling to try and lose stress anyway. So that means that they don't suffer fear at all. Brent, give me a roll and tell me what your highest roll is.
So roll 3d6 and give you the highest.
Yes, please. And then if you roll 2 6s, let me know.
No, 2 5s, so that's my highest, so a 5.
Okay, so you take 1 stress then. So just mark off 1 stress.
Okay. And
then the way I got that, Brent, is took your highest roll, 6 minus whatever your highest roll is. So you pull them together, but maybe there's a little bit of this is not a good thing that these rookies were ready to fucking to break rank at the first sign, without even actually facing these things. So maybe that's why you're suffering this stress.
Okay.
Okay. Crimson, what are you doing during this?
He just kind of laughs to himself and he says, "Bring it on."
Okay. So what action do you want to take then? Remember, this is the one of the reasons why it's also described as actions is that it's to get your characters to think more proactively.
Yeah.
To get engaged with the fiction. So what does he want to do?
Right. What action does he want to take?
Exactly.
Well, maybe he'll use discipline to try and.
Well, again, don't think of it in terms of I'm going to use discipline to whatever. That's more like other role-playing games. I want to do whatever, and then we just figure out what dice. If you got, I should point out too, if you've got 0 in a skill, you can still spend 2 stress and get a dice in it. Otherwise, you're rolling 2 dice and taking the lowest. So just think of what would make sense for your character in the fiction, and then we'll figure out what dice need to be rolled.
Right.
What do you want to do?
Well, I mean, just while they're scouting.
You guys, this is where you guys need to take a little more control.
Okay, well, while they're scouting, he's honestly he's preparing his weapons for the kill. He's a bit of a killing the enemy is all he cares about. So he is.
Well, you just heard that there's enemy on the bridge that are trying to ambush you. Does that change your mind as what you want to do?
Yeah, he's well, let's go finish him off. All right, boys, let's do what we came here to do.
Okay.
And can we do because there's a group of us? Can we do a military formation to go in to
Yeah.
Should I try to shoot one? Just should I try to take some out from a distance? Get the drop on them?
Well, maybe wait till we're in position, and then you can open up, and then we can take defensive positions at the. We'll ambush them when they come up on the bridge. So we'll get into position at the far end of the bridge, and when you shoot them from this side, they'll probably come running towards us, and then we'll ambush them. How's that sound to you guys?
I like it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, sounds like Crimson is starting to stride forward then onto this bridge.
Well, don't we want to sort of like make a hiding spot or like on the or find cover to hide so when there's for when Uko opens up that they won't see us and they'll come.
Oh, I see. So you want to make kind of a counter ambush kind of thing.
Yeah, and then to initiate our ambush, we'll have our sniper fire in, and they're like, "Hey, there's someone shooting at us. Let's go take them out." And as they run off the bridge, we'll emerge from cover and ambush them.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is to get everyone rolling some dice here is we're going to be rolling some stealth. That sounds to me like what you're trying to do is you'll be using you're sneaking up. That I think that sounds like a scout action.
Okay.
So who wants to take the what do you call it? That sounds to me like it's a group action then. So who wants to take the lead in that?
Who the best scout would take the lead, correct?
Probably, yeah, that's probably a good choice because that way you're less likely to suffer any kind of penalty from the other people participating in the roll.
Or would it be the best marshal?
Not necessarily, because you're not what's going to happen is every person participating in the group roll is going to make their own roll, but their dice count towards the whatever the highest number is.
Okay.
So everyone makes an action roll, and the squad has one because they're rookies. They have one dice. So the squad will roll one dice. Crimson will roll if Crimson. I'm not sure who's got the higher scout. Is it Crimson or is it what's his name? Alban.
Scout.
My scout is 2.
Mine is 0.
Okay, so it'll be Alban. So Alban, you're going to want to roll 2, and then Steve, why don't you roll for the squad? Roll 1d6, and then Brent, you're going to roll. You have 2 choices. You can either roll 2d6 and take the lowest roll, or you can spend 2 stress and roll 1 dice.
Oh, I guess I will spend 2 stress and low 1 dice because I don't want to fuck this up.
Okay. So
can someone assist me?
No, not in a group action. This is sort of because you're taking the highest roll of these. You're getting the benefit of someone else helping you.
Oh, so I don't really need to taking. So because it's a group roll, then taking the lowest out of 2 is not necessarily a horrible failure.
Well, the thing is if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, that means Crimson takes a stress, and every 1, 2, or 3 counts as a point of stress. So it's a question of whether you want to risk 1 stress to Crimson.
Or take 2 for myself.
Or take 2 yourself. Yeah, exactly. What do you think?
Okay, I will. I'll take 2 stress. He'll probably be more of the melee fighter anyway.
Okay, so Crimson, you're gonna roll 2 dice, and then the squad. Steve, roll 1 dice for the squad, and Brent, roll 1 dice for yourself. And let's see how we do.
All right.
I got a 4.
Oh, nice.
I got 2 5s.
Okay.
I got a 1 for the squad.
Oh no! So those fucking rookies there's a point where they're sort of moving along, and like those big wooden containers that contain the alchemical charges are like rattle around, and Crimson, you turn to them and sort of like grab the chest plate of one of them and like fucking knock it off. But unfortunately, you do take 1 stress though.
I do.
5 is the highest roll. So looking at the roll, you're still in a controlled position here, guys. Ooh, you hesitate. So you can withdraw and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence, which means a minor complication, or have reduced effect, or you suffer a lesser harm, or you end up in a risky position. So what do you think, Jeff? You're the one who's leading this group effort. You do take the one stress, but
So I take one stress?
You take one stress, yeah, because you love this group role, because of the fucking rookies.
Yeah, okay, and then what?
But you can either suffer one of those things, and I'll pick one of them, or so you can succeed and suffer that minor consequence, or you can try again.
No, let's succeed and take the minor consequence.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to say then is you've managed to get yourself into sort of positions, but they're not as ideal as you were hoping. So your position is now a risky position rather than controlled. So what's happened is you guys have scrambled on there, and those rookies are sort of like rattle, 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 kind of, rattling these boxes. You can hear the sort of, there's straw in there to sort of secure these heavy globes that contain the alchemical liquid. But it's been packed down so much that it's sort of like bang, 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 kind of going along. So you have to sort of duck behind cover before you really get before you get into the proper position. So that's what's happened there. Now for you, Steve, while you're up there and you're sort of at the top of the tree and scouting down, you can see that one of those things, something is, moving in the darkness. And yeah, Brent?
Okay, this is for Jeff. You guys fights in melee, right?
Sure, I have no idea. We haven't fought yet.
Like he's got a big sword as opposed to a gun, I'm guessing.
Well, it's both.
Right? Okay, I can give you something called Rage Venom. It gives you physical potency for the scene, but there's a cost. If you drink it, then you have to resist not to attack friend and foe, and it's also addictive.
Sure, why not? Let's go.
But I don't know what does potency do?
Potency scales up the effect by 1. So what the way that effect works, guys, is my camera's fucking up. Hold on. Whoop. There we go. So the way it works, guys, is effect is separate from your position. Your position is sort of like how likely you are to succeed at something. Effect is how potent you are. Now, that's measured as a starting point by tiers. So you guys are, as specialists, are tier 2. There's 5 tiers in total. The troops, the guys who are with you, are tier 1. And what you do to determine the effect on the thing you're targeting, you compare the tiers. And then that determines how much you modify the effect by how well you rolled. Other factors that can change that are things like the potency, like how powerful and how destructive or whatever. The thing is the scale, like whether you're fighting 5 guys versus 1. That means scale is a bigger factor. Quality is another factor. Anything that you can see on your sheet that has bold on it, that means it's a fine weapon, which means it counts as 1 tier higher. And the final thing is, what is it? Sorry. I have added, since last night, Steve, I've added a bunch of little stickies to make sure I can get to the things. Nice. So scale, tier or quality, and potency. Those are the 3 factors we also consider. And then there are also things like if there's a dominant factor, if there's one thing that overwhelmingly applies over other things. And that would be a situation like if one of you guys charged in against 20 undead. It really doesn't matter what tier they are or how powerful you are or whatever else. That's the thing that's going to dictate the outcome of that scenario. So at best, you would have a limited outcome, or things would be really bad for you. So that's where I say the game is fiction first, because we sort of figure out what's happening in the fiction, and that dictates what the effect and what the the outcome is for it. So does that answer your question, Brett?
Yeah, I think so. So. Cool. Did you want to drink this to increase your potency?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what does it mean to resist not to attack friend?
So that means he's going to there will be an effect of attack friend, and then he has to make a resistance to avoid that. Also,
So just as he takes it, or like every time he attacks?
No, it's every time he uses it. So for the scene, he will have, you know, the boosted whatever. But at the end, I think he needs to. Is it at the end?
It doesn't say. It just says resolve, resist, not attack, friend, and foe.
Ooh. Yeah. So I think what I'll say is, as soon as he consumes it, he needs to make sure that that rage doesn't spill out and he starts fucking banging on you guys rather than the enemies.
Okay, I'll warn him that's how it works.
So mechanically, Jeff, what that would mean is another resistance. You make a roll against, I think it's probably resolve. It's either resolve or prowess. And then you would make a roll and take the highest roll, subtract that from 6, and that's how much stress you would take from resisting it. Or you can just attack your friends.
Right. Okay.
So you hand that stuff to Jeff. Jeff, do you consume that stuff?
Yeah, let's consume it.
Okay. So glug 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 goes down. Do you want to resist that attacking friends, or you want to attack your friends?
Well, don't I do that at the end, or do I do that all along?
No, you do that immediately, I think.
Oh.
Because as soon as that shit kicks in, that's when you gotta like, rah, you know, try and hold yourself back.
Yeah, I'll resist attacking them.
Okay, so you don't attack them, and what you're going to roll is a resistance using. I can see arguments for it being prowess because it's a you know, like a poison kind of thing that's affecting you, or I can see resolve because it's your will to stop yourself from, you know, losing yourself to your fury. Whichever one you want to do, you can go ahead and roll.
Sure. Well, my prowess is much stronger, so.
Okay, so go ahead and roll that.
So I roll the number of dice equal to the number of pips that I have on the left side, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. Need more d6 for this.
So I think we'll cut back to.
Wait, I roll. What does it matter? I roll 3d6 and then what?
Take the highest and subtract it from 6, and that's how much stress you take.
Okay.
Because anytime you resist something, you make a roll to see if you take stress.
Okay, so I roll a 5, so I take 1 stress.
1 stress, that's right. Okay, so Yuko, you've seen them go into position themselves. You see that what's his name? The Albin hands this potion to Crimson. He drinks it, and they seem ready. That thing is sort of like, you know, sort of. You can see its form is roughly humanoid, but you can't see what it is. It's still shrouded in darkness, but you can certainly take an action now. What do you want to do, Steve?
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah, I guess as much as we'll ever be.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll take aim.
Okay. So you take aim. I think you're still in a controlled position. So it's the other guys who are in the risky position. Okay. So your shoot is how much?
2.
2, okay.
And yes.
So then you've got a choice of you can give. I don't think anyone can help you with this necessarily, but I'm open to you guys suggesting otherwise. You can push yourself for 2 stress, or you can try and take a devil's bargain.
So what's the connection between aim and shoot? So I've got 2 in aim and 2 in shoot.
Well, read on your playbook. Your playbook will tell you what aim does.
Sniper specialist ability. It's not usually rolled, but it determines uses permission. While on a mission, you may aim to increase the effect level of a shot. All right. So I can use it twice per mission, and I can use it to increase the effect level of a shot.
Yeah. It's really like your signature abilities for taking out those big scary things.
Right. Okay. So maybe we'll save that, and I'll use Black Shot, and I will shoot.
Okay. So you tick off 1 use of Black Shot and tick off 1 thing of ammo. And let's see. So you're starting at whatever your. I think what do you got? 2 dice and shoot.
Yep.
Okay. One other thing I want to point out to you guys, because Steve knows this, but you guys don't. You can do something that is called trading position for effect. If you want to boost the effect of your ability, you can choose to step up how difficult, like what position you're in. So you can go from risky to desperate or controlled to risky, and then bump your effect up by 1. One other thing I want to point out is any time you make a roll in a desperate position, you automatically get 1 XP tick in the clock for whatever attribute governs that action. And it's every single time. So, I mean, desperate is really a difficult position to be in, but it gets you XP as well. So, Steve, what are you're rolling 2 dice? Do you want to make extra effect, or do you want to hear about a devil's bargain?
Yeah, I kind of want to hear a devil's bargain.
Okay. So what a devil's bargain is, guys, is if you don't want to spend the effect, I can give you an option where something will happen in the fiction that doesn't necessarily relate to what you're doing, but there will be a negative consequence. So I think for let's see here, collateral damage. I'm going to try. I think what'll happen, Steve, the devil's bargain is you will get the extra shot because like there's one squad member who's sort of like making enough noise with his rattling around that this thing is really like craning its head out. So you'll get a great shot on it. But the devil's bargain is as soon as that shot goes off, that guy's going to turn and run off a bridge.
Okay.
He's not gone. You could use like discipline or martial to try and get him back. But that's the devil's bargain, is that he's going to make a fucking bolt for it. He's too green.
He's too green. Okay.
You take it?
For an extra die on my shot.
Yeah. What do you think?
Tempting. I'll do that. And I will also sacrifice position for effect.
Nice. So you're making a roll on risky then.
Yes.
So this is going to be a pretty big. So right now you are tier 2, goes up to 1 because of the quality of your long rifle. So it's tier 3. 1 more, tier 4, because of the what do you call it? Because of your what the fuck's it called? Because of
my eyes.
Position. No, you don't have the eye. I think you took covering fire as your ability, right?
Yes, I mean because of my the stuff I put in my eye.
Right. So well, that means you can ignore the darkness. So that's great. And then actually 1 more because you're using fucking black shot. So right now you're tier 5. This is something that could affect broken. So
okay. Then I won't sacrifice position. Then I'll just
4. So controlled. All right. So let's make a roll then. So you got 3 dice.
Okay.
Go ahead and make your roll. Let's see how you do.
Here we go. Come on, baby. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
3 is my best one.
3. Oh. Okay. So looking at the action roll here, let's see. You are blocked or you falter. Press on by seizing a risky opportunity or withdraw and try a different approach. So I think in the fiction, what's happened is you're ready to line up. You're about to go, and we cut to the scene, like the face of this kid who's like, he's crunching against the side of this abandoned and overturned wagon. He's right near where Crimson is. He's kind of like, and he looks over the side of the river, and there's like things rushing away, and you can see that thing slowly, like the form is only about maybe like 20 feet away from him. It's moving its head out, and he looks over and sees Crimson's face that's just twisted in rage, kind of like. And he's taking more animalistic features on it. So you're about to take that shot, and then he kind of he turns and he runs along, and you hear this rattle, 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 rattle as this wooden box is like rattling around on his back. You see this happen as well, Alban, and he's booking it off the bridge. So basically, and this thing kind of like ducks back down behind. So I think what you could do, Steve, is you can try and like lean out a little more and try again at risky. Or you can try something different.
Will I still get the extra die at risky? I guess not. I've lost the extra die now. Okay.
No, now you have to re-roll. You could ask for another devil's bargain.
Man, those things are always rough. Shoot. So our guys run away now already.
No, he's making his way off the bridge. You still got plenty of opportunity to try and get him back.
Right. Okay, so I can still take the shot.
Yeah. And Jeff, you tell me which of the squad members is making a run. You're the marshal, so you tell me.
Okay.
I think it's Giggles.
Giggles, okay.
Giggles. Not giggling now. All right.
No.
I will take the shot again.
Okay,
At
so this is
risky.
risky. You have 2 dice this time.
Okay.
You can spend stress if you want as well to get an extra dice.
That's okay. I won't do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll, and I'm gonna roll. Oh fuck! I rolled a 3 again. Jeez.
Oh no! Okay, so 3 things go badly. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, or you end up in a desperate position, and you lose this, or you lose this opportunity. I think what I'll say, Steve, is instead of applying a harm or something like that,
Yeah.
you just they've ducked behind. They've heard the guy running.
Right.
And they're sort of getting ready for their ambush. They duck behind. So you're sort of, even with your clear vision, you're looking and you're like, fuck. They didn't, you're not going to be able to get a shot. So let's switch down to the bridge, guys. What are you guys going to do? You're waiting for the shot and waiting for the shot, and you see what's his name running off the bridge right now. And these things haven't come running out. So what do you guys want to do? Either of you guys can act.
I will start by cursing because that was not what was supposed to happen at all.
No.
That's not the plan. And the guy running away, would he be one of the guys carrying our explosive shit?
Yep. He picked. We already established Giggles was the one who fell at the beginning, and he said, "Don't, careful, Giggles. You'll blow. Don't want to blow yourself up."
Oh,
The sketchy one.
yes. Well, Jeff's. Someone else is ready to go for combat. I guess I should run after him then. Like, how far has he gotten?
Like I said, he's still like within shouting distance. And again, like, just it's think of it in terms of the fiction. Like, you don't need to spend an action moving or anything like that. Like, if what you want to do is describe your guy shouting and like trying to get him back, that's absolutely, and like trying to get him to collect his morale. That's absolutely a discipline thing.
I think I would run after him and use a loud whisper because I think shouting would be, I don't know for sure if we've given away our position yet, but yelling at the top of my lungs, get back here, would definitely...
Sure. Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so you're in a risky position then, Brent. So you are going to start building your dice pool with 2, I think you got 2 dots in discipline, right?
Right.
Okay, so you got those 2 points. Then let's see, you can get assistance from somebody if someone wants to try and help you with that, or you can push yourself. Well, not or. You can also do this. You can always take 2 stress to add 1 dice to your dice pool, or you can ask me for a devil's bargain.
Steve, would you be able to assist me? I guess if he's running, you're away from the bridge, so he'd be running in your direction as well.
Yeah, and Steve already just took an action too, so I don't think he can help. If Crimson might be able to.
What do you need me to do?
One of the guy is running away, so I was wondering if there's any way you can maybe glare at him, or I don't know.
Well, I have discipline, so I mean I can just literally command him.
Yeah, but we don't want to yell.
Here.
But we don't want to yell because it'll give away our position.
What, haven't they already seen us?
Nope.
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
That's my take on it, right, Kev? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, like as far as you guys know right now, the shot didn't go off. You're waiting for that shot to go off, and then suddenly Giggles turned and fucking ran.
It's pretty hard to glare at the back of someone's head.
Yeah, and so I guess there's nothing really anyone else can... Yeah, I guess maybe I'll just go after him. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything else anyone can do.
Okay. So that's still, I think it would be a, it sounds like you're going to use discipline to try and get this guy back. And even though you're whispering or whatnot, it wouldn't be like, I don't think you're like sneaking up on this guy to try and convince him.
No, I'm trying not to, like yell at the top of my lungs where, alert the enemy. And like, I'd be sort of more of closing in like, get back here.
Okay. So
you're a soldier.
Do you want to just make your roll, or do you want to you can take 2 stress to get an extra dice, or you can get an extra dice if you accept the devil's bargain.
Okay, well, I've already got 2 stress right now.
Okay.
So if I can take. So doing it again would
if you do it again, it would cost you a 2. So it would put your stress at 4.
And okay, and what happens when I get 6 and I get a trauma?
No, you get 7. Once you hit that one, once you go over 6, that's when you get a trauma.
Okay. And then what happens when I get 2 traumas and I'm out?
Well, no, 1 trauma, you're out of the mission. If you survive, if the rest of the group survives, you get back, but you just live with that trauma now. And the trauma is actually a good thing in a role-playing sense, because when you role-play up your trauma in a mission, you get an extra XP.
Okay. But I probably don't want to take myself out of the mission, so
No.
let's not go with that, and I'll keep my 2 stress. We haven't even got to combat yet, and I've already got 2 out of 7 stress. So
you guys haven't taken any steps towards blowing the bridge yet.
So let's not give myself any more stress.
Okay. So what do you get? How about a devil's bargain? You want a devil's bargain?
Okay, so that means something bad goes on, right?
Yeah, not necessarily directly related to what you're trying to do, though. So I think what the...
Yeah, I guess so, because this guy's got all the explosives, and if he runs buggers off, then we're fucked.
Okay. So
I'm guessing, right?
So the devil's bargain, I'll give... I'll take suggestions from you guys, too. If you have an idea of what it could be, I'm happy to hear. I think what I'll say is... Oh, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a clock that's called Giggles Breaks. And what it is once that clock fills up, Giggles will be like full on. He's effectively catatonic.
Fun.
Yeah, so that means like you'll be able to get them back, but once that sucker gets filled up, then yeah, things are bad. Does that sound acceptable?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. What do you guys think? How many ticks on this clock?
4 ticks. And
okay.
I filled in 1.
Okay.
So good, you get your extra dice. So you're rolling 3 dice. Go ahead and roll 3.
All right. Let's see what
here.
happens here.
Big money, big money, big money.
Hey, a 6.
Nice. Awesome.
That 3rd dice paid off.
So describe for us what happens.
I come running after him. Sort of like this sort of stealth run that is not super stealthy, but it's him trying to be going, get back here. Where are you going? We have a mission. Get a hold of yourself, man.
That's awesome. He stops and turns at you and kind of looks sheepishly, and he's like,
You're part of the Legion. This is what we do.
Nice. So he sort of sheepishly, he's trying to say something, and then he stops and chokes back whatever he was going to say, and then falls you back into position.
Yeah, put my hand on his shoulder. It's going to be okay. We can do this.
Nice. And you got that you're talking through that wolf mask that you got on too. So that's cool. Okay, so then we cut, I guess, then it's Crimson. What do you want to do? What's your action? Sort of...
Yeah, like I'm ready to rush this bridge. So, what's the kind of distance right now between us and the bridge?
Well, you're on the bridge right now. Like you guys have gone onto the bridge, or you're using, like, you're sort of in the first little bit of the bridge, using some cover to try and keep yourself hidden from the, to set up an ambush. That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
Was that right, guys?
Yeah.
But the shot failed. Like, am I waiting another round?
Well,
we never set it up. We were supposed to wait for the shot, so it's up to you now because.
I guess there's no time there. So
No, and you got no radio to talk
Honestly, I'm like biting my lip, like ready to kill, and so I'm not going to take an action. I'm just going to wait for the shot. But he's getting impatient. He's basically like, I have my own little clock here. He's getting impatient. If the shot doesn't go off soon, he's probably not going to continue to wait.
Okay. So let's maybe rotate. You know what, guys? I'm going to roll a fortune roll. I honestly don't know how long these things will wait. I got a clock here that is, you know, hungry undead. Let's see what, how long, whether these things can stay in formation. Yeah, no, they're staying. They're still hidden. So, Steve-O, what is Yuko going to do?
Yuko is going to try to reposition to take a shot.
Okay, so I think that's probably using maneuver then. You sort of like drop out of this tree and go scrambling over to try and find some new vantage point, right?
Sure.
I don't know, like, do you think it's maneuver, like trying to get there fast enough to do it, or are you trying to do it in a like really surreptitious way to using scout?
It's a bit more scout-like, I think, trying to sneak.
Okay, so that sounds right to me. Okay, so you, your position right now is risky, and you've got your starting dice pool.
Is my position controlled?
No, because remember, when you failed, you moved to risky.
Oh, okay, permanently. All right.
Well, for the next thing, yeah, basically, like the position you're in right now is risky.
Okay.
Okay, so it's risky to go scrambling over. Do you want a devil's bargain, or do you want to spend some stress, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I've only got one in scout.
That's one point for Brent and Jeff too. Remember, guys, like group actions are a really big thing in this game. So just because it's someone else's like quote unquote turn, you can still do stuff to try and help out.
It's just that like we're literally hiding, so I mean, there's not a lot that I can do that's not giving away our position at this point. Is the only reason I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, we're sort of at like a little bit of an impasse because we're waiting for a shot, but there's a delay and we don't understand why, and there's no way to really communicate back and forth.
Guys, as a reminder, you could spend one stress to do a flashback where you set up what your contingency is. Where you had the contingency of like, look, because I mean, there's misfires, there's, you know, whatever, like all sorts of things could have gone wrong. If someone spends a point of stress, we'll see there's a flashback where you guys said, look, if I don't get the shot off within like 10 heartbeats or 20 heartbeats, something's happened.
Maybe I'll spend a stress and say that I said that.
Okay. So does that change what your actions are, guys? Knowing that that first shot is not forthcoming?
Am I back at the bridge with the other guy?
Well, we're going to start with Jeff didn't get it, or Crimson didn't get a chance to take an action. So does that change your action, Crimson, or are you still waiting to see if a shot comes off? At this point, we can assume you've known that enough time has passed so that something's gone wrong.
Okay, then I'm going to move in and skirmish, I guess.
Okay. So you're going to, you can picture the bridge is this wide, like old stone bridge. It's full of all these like turned over carts and like abandoned broken crates and, you know, bits of little mortar maybe that's fallen down too. And it's behind in those shadows that those things are coming. You're just boiling with rage right now, and you can come running out. And basically, if you want to try and like let these things come on you, then you'll be able to engage a bunch of them at the same time. And remember, your ability, your specialist ability allows you to act. If you spend it, you can act as a squad.
Right. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, so you blow that then, and you're gonna go racing out. That rage whatever is gonna rage venom is gonna grant you one extra level of potency. Plus, there's a bunch of other factors at play. Is your sword a quality weapon? Is it in bold?
Wait. How do you know if it's bold?
If it's bold, if it's darker font than the others.
I mean, I would say I think so, but yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, like you're fitted. Compare it to your large weapon is a quality
Like
weapon.
if I compare it to a flare gun.
Yep, then absolutely. Yep. So that means it's one tier
yes.
higher. So you're starting at a tier 3. You are in a risky position right now, and yeah. Oh, you know what? So Blackshot's not going to do you an awful lot of good because you don't actually have a gun.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't even need to worry about that. All right, so you go racing out, and you leap into these shadows, and it turns out there's a bunch of these things. There's probably like 4 or 5 of them that are all setting up some kind of sneaky ambush. And you go racing, and you can't quite see what you're engaging, but you can see the forms moving and know that those need to fucking go down, right?
Right.
So let's talk about things that can modify the roll here. Did you set it up so that the squad would come in with you? Because then you could turn it into a group action, and they can add a dice to your pool. And it's not technically how it works. They would be making their roll, but because they only roll 1 dice, you would just roll 1 extra dice. What is your what's your skirmish pool right now?
My skirmish is a 2.
Is it 2? Okay. And so we're starting at 2. You have a choice of pushing yourself to gain an extra dice, or asking for a devil's bargain, or the the squad could help. They could assist you, or they could participate in a group action, or they can try and set you up.
I think the squad, I'm expecting them to guard the alchemist fire.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Do we have enough to do both?
To get the squad is probably not who you want positioning or placing those charges, because it's going to be a combination of maneuver and rig checks. They only have 1 dice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they can't, because they're a squad, they can't take the sort of actions that you guys get, where you can, like, take stress or whatever, or take devil's bargains.
So they might be better in like joining you in combat, like rushing in. It might look more intimidating too if there's a group of you as opposed to just one guy. I mean, we have the squad.
Plus, you know what? You're already, if you spend your point of anchor, you're counting as a squad, and then you've also got them with you. I'd actually say that you've got numbers over them.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So it'd be another factor that would play in your favor.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a skirmish. So you leap out. Do you want? You still have the option of taking 2 stress to gain an extra dice, or Brent could, or not Brent. Alban could take a point of stress to add a dice to your pool if he can wants to assist, or you can take a devil's bargain, or ask me for a devil's bargain.
No, that's probably good. I don't
You're
think I
good?
want a devil's bargain on this yet.
So and I'm going to hold
ahead.
off. I've got a couple stress, and I just want to see how the battle starts going before I.
Sure. Okay, so go ahead and make your roll there, Jeff. Let's see. You're rolling against risky right now.
Okay, so that's on the resistance table.
Other side of it, yeah, the action roll.
Okay.
So you got 3 dice.
3 dice, trying to get a 4 or 5 to basically complete it with some kind of consequence, or a 6 to just complete.
That's right. Yeah.
Definitely not just a 1 to a 3. Well, I rolled 1 6, so
1 6, nice.
We did.
Okay, you go racing into these things with and the guys kind of like, and they go charging in with their swords drawn as well. Whatever's coming at you out of the shadows, you're just sweeping your. What is your large weapon anyway?
I'm picturing like an oversized, like maybe like a great sword.
Sure. Yeah.
Like something like that, like extra heavy though, like really a really thick blade.
Sure. Yeah. So you're just sweeping through these fucking things. Your effect right now, you roll 6, which means it's a normal effect, which is you are, I can tell you, 1 tier over these things, plus your weapons are another 1 over, so it's 2 boosts to the effect. plus you are, because of your squad and your, did you use a point of anchor?
Yes.
Okay. So then you're also another tier. So basically you just, but between you and the squad, you annihilate like 6 of these things. You completely decimate their attempted ambush. Or at least this group's attempted ambush. And all right, let's see. Next up, who hasn't? Steve, let's go with you next.
All right. Well, the action's already happened. I'm looking down the barrel of my gun to see if I can shoot anything.
What you see is the massive form of Crimson leap forward and start fucking mashing through these things, and you can hear the cheers of the squad as well, as they're getting involved with it.
Okay, do I see a target?
Remember, you're going to take a look. You can't see anything apart from what I've described so far. That's all you see. You can take an action to try and see some other stuff, in which case you got to describe what's happening.
I will reposition so I can see what's going on and try to find a target.
Okay. So I think, again, that's probably either scout or you're doing it unseen, I take it, right?
I suppose so. Yeah, sure.
It could also just be shoot. I mean, like, part of being a good sniper is if you're not really concerned about being spotted or whatever else, there doesn't seem to be anyone near. What sort of overwatch are you trying to set up here? Like somewhere further down the bridge, you think, or what?
Or maybe, well, they're already engaged, so I mean, maybe it's time to move in because I've got rig and we're gonna have to rig up the explosives.
Cool. Okay, so you just want to like sort of race in there then?
Yeah.
So you go racing in, and you kind of come running up behind. You drop down to the mud and holster shoulder your long rifle, and you go racing along the mud, and you kind of come running up behind where Alban is with Giggles, and you kind of run up behind them, and you're like, "I'll start placing these things."
Okay. And I'll sort of push. I'll push Giggles towards you as you'll be, because he's got all the stuff.
Sure. And if you want, Steve, look, I'll actually let you start placing that shit as well if you want.
Sure.
Okay. So what are you gonna? Are you gonna climb? So you grab the stuff, and I think maybe the first thing then is to climb over the side. So I guess it would probably be like a maneuver roll.
Okay.
And I think it's still a risky position. That's sort of the default. Honey, sit.
Right.
And yeah, I don't. There's a devil's bargain available as well.
Okay.
Which is that you're not alone. I'm going to start a clock for things scrambling on the underside of the bridge.
Right.
You want to take that extra dice, or you want to spend stress, or just roll with what you got?
Oh my gosh.
Go with what you got. We don't need more. That's my thoughts. Do we really need some whole another pack coming at us?
We don't need another pack coming at us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my thoughts anyway.
Just roll with what I've got.
Okay. So sounds like how many dots do you have in maneuver?
I have 1 dot in maneuver.
1 dot in maneuver.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. I can push myself. I'll push myself.
Okay. So mark down 2 stress and roll 2 dice.
Okay. Rolling 2 dice. Rolling 2 dice. And he rolls a 6.
Yay!
All right.
So 6 means, I believe, let's see here. I think it's it's either 2 or 3 ticks on the 2 ticks, baby, on the clock.
Nice. All right.
All right. So you
Yay.
grab this stuff, you leap over the side, and describe for me, like, do you have like rigging or something like that you've brought with you to get yourself in maneuver, or are you sort of like just scrambling along, like, because you're agile and nimble kind of guy?
My light load. I'm sort of scrambling along the structure of the bridge.
Awesome.
Looking for a spot to plant the explosives. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so you're scrambling along and starting to get yourself in position. Brent, I think you're up next here. What does Alban want to do?
Alden, like, because I've seen like the squad move into combat. He draws his, I guess it's like a revolver. So he draws his revolver, follows them out, and as he sees,
It's a single shot. This is
like if you read the thing for fine pistol, it's actually a 5-shot like gun.
Oh,
From,
nice. Okay.
Like an Orite gun.
Okay, cool. That is
So
good.
I'm assuming it's sort of like a revolver. So he sort of like walks in, and as he's undead, or maybe like he starts picking them off as he sees them.
Okay. Well, there are some things that are going to start coming down the bridge for sure. That are stalled. That have been sort of stirred by the death of these other things. And So why don't you go ahead and make a I think it'll be a shoot roll then.
Okay.
And let's see here. So whatever your starting position is, the squad is engaged in hand-to-hand combat with and sort of like allied with Crimson right now. So I don't think they're available. You can take stress to get an extra dice, or you could ask for a devil's bargain.
You know what? I'm just gonna see how well I can shoot.
Okay. So you are in it's a risky roll.
Okay.
So what do you got? 2 dice?
So 2 dice.
In risky position. Let's see what happens. So you draw this thing out, and you're firing away, stepping away from Giggles.
All right. Yo-ho! Yay! I got me a 6.
Nice.
It's those purple dice you got me from Conan.
Oh, nice.
They're working well.
Outstanding. Okay, so the 6 then. Let's see here. Your tier is a 2. You add 1 to that because of the fine quality of the pistol, and otherwise it's a standard effect. So I think what happens is what you see is there's these darkened forms that are scrambling along, along the bridge. It looks like people crouched over in a weird position, but their arms and legs seem too long. And as you're walking along, you kind of take careful aim and you fire away. One of them sort of gets hit and drops down to the ground. But then another, like 4 of them comes, go racing along down the center of the bridge towards you guys. One of them kind of calls out, this like horrible combination of screech and cry that sounds like a combination of like a howling wolf and a screaming person that has a brand put on them. And as these things get into the light, what you see is they're like, imagine like a burn victim that has all their flesh just covered in nothing but like vicious, like healing burn wounds. The eyes have been stitched shut, and then the lips have all been cut off. So all you see is just like this bare mouth that's scrambled, like chomping away at the air, hungry to get you. And the nose has been cut away, so there's these giant, almost like dog-like nostrils that are scrambling along. The teeth, incidentally, are either shattered into points or filed into points. You would guess broken into points, but you know that you do not want to get into contact with these. Now, once again, guys, I'm going to interject with a complication. The seeing contact with these hideous things for the first time, the squad is frightened. So they'll take a level 1 harm that is, what is it? Contact fright. But you can tell me no and resist for them if you want.
Okay, and the resist involves us taking stress, correct?
Yeah, that's always the way resist works.
Okay. So let me see. Resist.
So what do you think, guys? And if they are stressed, then what that means is level 1 harm. Jeff will mark a level 1 harm on the Marshal's book, and they will be -1 dice, which means they will effectively have a 0. So they roll 2 dice, take the lowest from when they're making rolls. What do you think, guys? Anyone resisting this? Or are they scared?
I would take 1 stress for this, right?
No, you would roll your resistance, which would be one of your attributes. And then you
Right.
suffer an amount of stress equal to 6 minus whatever your highest roll is.
Ooh.
Yeah. It can add up.
Mm.
I'm already at 3. I'm already at 3 stress.
Yeah, I got 2.
I can do it.
So okay, so I take. Okay, so I'd be rolling, so I can make it like a discipline, but then I'd have to, so I'd be basically rolling 2 dice,
it's
right?
your attributes. Resistance is always attributes.
Okay,
So
so I'd be
probably.
rolling 3 dice and hopefully getting higher numbers.
Yep.
What do we need? But these are our guys who we need to set the charges and fight for us, all right?
Well, no, because remember, like you can make them set the charges, but they're rolling 1d6 for their because they're a tier 1 thing and they got no skills and whatever.
So okay, then how would that work? If they took a harm and they got a penalty of 1, they're only rolling 1 dice minus, so they'd be like
2 dice taking the lowest.
So then they'd be pretty much useless for the rest of the combat.
Such is the problem with rookies.
Gotta resist.
What about you, Crimson? You're sitting right there. You got anything to?
Can someone assist me so I get an extra dice to roll?
Nope, not on resistances, unfortunately.
Oh, I mean, I'm not surprised that they're afraid. I'm not sure what I would do to like.
I've got 2 dice in prowess.
Strengthen their resolve.
Prowess isn't what you would do. I think it's resolve is what you would be rolling.
I've got 2 dice in resolve. Yeah, right.
What can I do here that would help?
Well, you see, if you can think of a way that you would be like in the fiction, how would you be? Because you probably saw the first one run, and if you're seeing these guys getting down, you could be screaming something out as you're getting to your, well, no, you're under the fucking bridge right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm under the bridge.
Yeah, you can't really. I don't think you can. You don't even know this is happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it would probably pretty much down to me.
So, do you guys just want to let them? What do you want, Brent? You want to make your?
I mean, that might be something your character would do. Like, I'm just.
Yeah, maybe I'm
I'm
I'm the most of the support character, right? I just don't want to like take my character out of the scene because that would be very unfun for the rest of the adventure.
Then you grab the rookie playbook and you start playing one of the rookies.
Okay, so fuck it, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get 3 dice.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
nice.
there's no way to further modify that, right? I don't have any.
Nope, not on resistance checks. And I mean, there's certain things that will modify resistance, like different playbook abilities or some equipment.
Well, I've got the holy symbol, the mercy. What about like the whole? What if I brandish the holy symbol and use that as like we have the goddess on our side?
Yeah, if you tick it off, I'll let you use that once. But the thing is, yeah, sure. Brent, that sounds fine. I'll give you an extra. Normally, you wouldn't be able to. Well, that's actually no. You can use it that way. That's fine. So you could roll 4 dice then.
Okay, and this is for the holy symbol of mercy.
Yes. Yeah. So just tick off. I think there's a box next to it.
Okay. No, that's for the mark of the healing goddess.
Okay. Well, for this thing, I'm only gonna let you do it once with these guys. And I mean like once ever. Because it's just not what that thing is normally used for.
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry, I was just
No, but that's actually like that's exactly what I mean by like we support the fiction. This makes sense. Like the chosen has fucking disappeared, so that's got to be weighing on these on these rookies' minds. They've been like a little skittish since they got here. If you jump up and talk about how like the goddess will be back, that was like the chosen of Ostara will be back, that's probably going to work for this one moment. It's just you couldn't keep trotting that out every mission.
right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's great.
Let me
job
try.
of working the fiction. So how'd you do?
Oof, a whole lot of 1s and a 5.
Oh, oh, thank God for that 5. So we take 1 more stress, Brent. That's awesome.
Nice.
Woo! All right, so now it's Jeff's turn. So Jeff, Crimson, you can see these things are charging down. Your allies were about to fucking run and break when they saw these inhuman creatures, but fortunately your ally has stepped forward What are you going to do? What do we see Crimson do now?
So what does it mean when you push yourself? That like gives you stress automatically?
Yeah, you suffer 2 stress.
So how threatening do these things look?
These things are about as tough as what those last things you fought were.
Okay. And so what does reducing a threat level do?
That means, again, like when you're making the comparison in terms of how difficult or things are, in comparison to your tier, what you knew is last time, like by spending 1 point of anchor and by spending the by allying with your squad, you annihilated these things. So you would probably be able to do, if all those factors were the same, that means you probably would do the same. So it wouldn't be necessary to push yourself to
do my war machine thing yet. Okay, so then I'll just do that. I'll just do another skirmish action and attack them.
Okay, so you go. Do you sort of like charge forward? Are you sort of like moving forward on the bridge now?
Yeah.
To move them, love it. Okay, so you go charging forward. Is the squad coming with you?
I mean that's what they're commanded to do. Like I guess they are then.
Yep. So there's this moment of panic where they look like they're like you sort of see them stagger and they step a foot back, and then like another one takes a step back, and that's when what's his name, Alban yells out his thing to support them, and then you sort of scream out, charge forward, and then a second later they all come racing forward as well. Even Giggles has drawn his weapon, is like and racing down towards them. So you are in a risky position right now. You get the benefit of who would like to roll for the squad, guys? Because this is technically a group action, so they would they get to roll, and if they roll a 1, 2, or 3, then they actually add up stress to Crimson. So Crimson, you are currently, what's your skirmish? 2?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so then you could, if no one is assisting you right now. Yeah, well, no. So there's a group action that's coming from the squad. You have an option then of pushing yourself to gain 2 stress to get an extra dice, or there might be a devil's bargain available here. Are you interested in hearing about it?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I think the devil's bargain will be the devil's bargain is going to be that something observing you figures out what you're doing. I think we'll start a clock, and I'll call it aha. And it's when they figure out that you're placing bombs on here. They don't know that right now.
How many ticks do we have on our bomb placing?
You have 2 currently.
Out of 10, right?
Yep, because there's only one of you actually doing it. Okay. So what do you think? You want the extra dice for that?
No.
Okay.
I don't want that one. Seems bad.
None of the devil's bargains are ever going to be good.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I just don't like them having any idea what we're up to.
Okay. So go ahead and make your roll then. It's 2 dice, right?
Just 2 then.
2 dice, and who wants to roll for the squad?
And the squad is 1 dice?
1 dice, yeah.
There, I'll give the squad a roll. Sorry if my traditional rolling's bad. I apologize in advance.
Okay.
And hey, I rolled a 6 again.
Nice.
That's good because I rolled a 3.
Ooh. So because of you sort of go charging in, and these things, they are fucking smart, like much smarter than you thought. They sort of deke to the side to sort of screw up your swing, but then your squad mates kind of go crashing into these things with their shields. They knock them back, and you bring your massive sword down and around, and you're just fucking carving through these things. Fortunately, you've managed to cut down all of them without suffering any kind of wounds or penalties or whatnot. You hear above your head a sound of flapping, of something flapping away. Okay, so that was your action. I think we're now to Steve. What is Yuko going to do?
Yuko is going to be setting some charges.
Okay.
That's right.
So why don't we alternate now? Let's do a rig check to place those bombs.
All right.
Okay, so right
Rig
now
check.
you are in a risky position. I
Okay.
want to point out again, you can trade position for effect. If you want to get a great position, which would be 3 ticks on the clock versus 2, you would roll a desperate roll, and the added benefit is you get to put 1 XP into insight.
Oh
Remember,
my gosh.
anytime you roll in a desperate position, you get 1 XP for free.
That's right. I remember that. And I get 2 dice.
What do you think?
I get 2 dice. But of course, the consequences of even a 4 or a 5 in a desperate position.
It's pretty tricky, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out again, guys, remember, you can use flashbacks to add, to add your support as well. You don't need to necessarily be there to add, like, if you want to assist or whatever. If you can feel free to use the flashback mechanic to do that, where, like, you just add a scene to say, like, specifically we prepared these things, like, knowing you're both Orites. Maybe there was a scene where you guys were talking about, well, how the fuck are we going to get these things on the bridge? And you're like, well, look, I've got these, on the sides of these things. I'm going to place these. It's an alchemical solvent that basically, like, you'll press it up against the stone and it'll, sizzle and boil and seal in very easily. So it's easier to place it. That would be why you get an extra dice.
Oh, okay.
Just as an example. So that would cost you 2 stress to do that, because 1 for the flashback and then 1 for the assist. Or actually, you know what? Hey, working the system, guys. You could spend 1 point of stress for the flashback, and then instead of doing the assist, you could do setup, which allows you to give +1 effect. So you'd be getting the effect of rolling a desperate roll without having to make a desperate roll.
How are you doing for stress, Steve?
I got 3 stress.
I'm at 4.
Okay.
What do you think, guys?
Do you want that, and then I would do the give you the extra effect?
I would take an extra die before I took the extra effect. But the extra effect you're saying is an extra tick on the clock.
Yeah, if you're successful.
Yeah.
So then you could, instead of doing it like from the dangerous, you could just do it from the regular to get the
desperate.
Yeah, from desperate.
The downside is with desperate.
So
you could combine those things and get another. You can get 4 ticks on the clock if you're successful. But it's a desperate roll. Then the downside is if you aren't in desperate, you don't get that XP.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for the desperate. I would just go for the regular, but get the extra dice from what's it called? From
I'm gonna read out, guys. This is from Blades in the Dark. These are I flagged this in the event that we got to this point here. This is players' best practices for playing Forged in the Dark games, including this one. Embrace the scoundrel's life is one suggestion. Go into danger, fall in love with trouble. Don't be a weasel. That's not what you're doing right now, but take responsibility. Use your stress. Don't talk yourself out of fun, and build your character through play. Oh, and act now, plan later. These are all recommendations that the designer of the game makes in playing this type of game.
Wow.
I don't know if that's going to help us
it's a lot like
succeed.
Blades in the Dark, though. You do get yourself into trouble.
Yep.
I will say that.
Well, I'm almost guaranteed to roll, a 4 or a 5, maybe a 6 if I'm lucky. But so there's going to be a complication that comes out of this, even if I'm in risky.
What do you think?
Go for it, Steve.
All right.
It's fun.
Do you do
It is
desperate?
fun. I'll do desperate, and I'll take.
So I
I'll
think
take.
to set
yeah,
this up, Steve,
if
like
you want,
you're
Brent.
going down and you see a point you think you can jump to,
Okay.
and you're like, oh, shortcut. So let's see here. So you're in desperate position. You've got your, which means you're trading for effect. So your effect is going to be 3 ticks right now instead of 2. Somebody want to spend stress to try and bump that up by 1 more? No?
No.
Okay.
Uh,
Then, Steve, it looks like you've got 2. Do you want to spend stress for an extra dice, or do you want to take a devil's bargain?
Oh dear. What's the devil's bargain?
The devil's bargain is going to be they're in the water. It'll be a clock that's
They're
ticking
in the
down to
water.
things coming out of the water.
so how many?
Yep.
What do you think?
I'm just trying to figure out how many. So how many of these? We've only got 3 charges set, or 3 out of 10.
You got 2 out of 10.
I don't know if we want more shit coming out of us. I'm almost good with slow
Again,
and
guys,
steady.
let's just stop
Just
for a
go,
second.
yeah, just go.
You guys are being way too fucking cautious. There's not going to be an easy way to do this. This is the nature of these games. Bad
Right.
shit will happen to your characters, but you've got ways to get out of that. And I'm also not going to be what we're interested in doing is moving story forward in an exciting and fun way. Do you
Right.
really think it's going to be exciting and fun if I just kill your characters?
No.
No.
Well, not fun for us.
No, not fun for me either, because then it's over. Like, the thing that makes us what it is, just because harm is an option, that's not necessarily always going to be the most fun way to do it. Like, the most fun would be like other complications or putting you in a worse position or things like that. Like, the game is intended for you to be taking big risks and having fun thing. The whole reason we're playing this game is to have a fun story. It's not fun if you're
Right.
constantly hedging your bets, because you're just never going to get shit done. You're not going to have access to the great successes that you need and the story driving stuff that happens from bad failures. That doesn't mean you have to always do desperate rolls, but you shouldn't be so afraid of doing desperate rolls or anything that exposes your character to risk, because that's just not, you can't avoid that kind of risk in this game.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take your devil's bargain.
Hold
Do a desperate roll.
on, I gotta make a clock here. They're in the water. Okay, so that means you got 3 dice for a desperate roll, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm gonna roll now. I'm rolling. 5.
5 is what you rolled?
5.
Ooh. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in 3 boxes on my clock. They're in the water. So, Steve, this is where we are.
Oh dear.
You make the leap. So you do it again, place it. So you get, let's see, you traded position for effect. Fuck, you've got 3 more. So guys, you're halfway there. Steve, I think you placed like 3 charges as you're going along. Boom, there's 1, and then along, boom, there's another, a third, and you're like, haha. And then the camera pans down, and we see the water kind of, like that slithering thing you see, and like, but just before the Dianoga appears in New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We see that as the audience is, something's moving in the water. Next up, someone on top. Who wants to go? Either Crimson can go, or what do you call it? Alban can go. How about I do this? I'll introduce something else that's happening on the bridge. At the far end of the bridge. Remember I was saying that at the beginning there's the drums that are playing? You guys can see about halfway down the bridge, there's something that is mounted that is making its way down towards you guys. And you can see that it's got something that it's holding in its hands, some chains. And something's on the other end of the chain, and you can't quite see what it is. Something's pulling at it. And then this thing releases it, and whatever is attached to the chains is making its way down the bridge towards you guys.
Yeah.
Like
But
some
I
kind of a scary ass monster.
but I know exactly what it is. As part of my studies, I've been studying our enemy, and I did research on different like undead units in the past.
Okay. So, are you trying to interject a flashback here?
No, I wanted to make a research roll to say exactly what's coming our way.
That's, I think, let me see here. I think that's a flashback because you're describing something that happened before this scene.
Oh, hang on for a second. What's research?
Yeah, you gotta research a person, document, or item with close scrutiny to gather information and apply knowledge, gain a deeper understanding.
Okay, so that's not really it.
Yeah, I think it's a. But I will let you, Brent. I will let you to make a.
I'm gonna pass on the flashback. I'm out of the game in 3 ticks.
Again, like it's there to be spent, man. Because the benefit of it, Brent, is if you make this roll, what I'll let you do is improve your position. You guys are currently sitting at risky, and what I would model it is that you scream out some kind of knowledge that you've learned about tactics of these things, and that will put the rest of the guys in a better position.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. So go ahead and make. So what's your research? 2?
Yeah.
Okay. You can. Let's see here. You can spend 2 stress to get an extra thing, but that doesn't sound like that's an option. An extra dice, or you can take a devil's bargain. Devil's bargain is that you'll get an extra dice, but by screaming it out, that thing on the horse will focus on you. What do you think?
Sure. He's got to get through the squad to get to me, so.
That's assuming that it doesn't have a ranged weapon. So, good on you. Okay, so then you're going to have 3 dice for your research roll, Brent. And we flash back and see you, reading through the annals of the Legion and talking to the lore master of the Legion and talking about the various things that they've encountered and, going through the different communiques that are coming from the scouts that are near the front during that 3-year period. 3 dice, go ahead and make your roll.
All right, let's see what I can do.
So this is in a risky position right now.
5.
5. Okay, so you do it, but there's a consequence. So you do improve Crimson and the squad's position if they're going to skirmish with these things. But let's see here. There is a harm, a complication, you have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. I am going to let me just quickly take a look at complication. I think that's what I want to do. And where is it here? Consequence, complication. Ooh. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a tick, Brent.
Okay.
To they're in the water. You scream that out. So what do you scream? Like what is it? What's the tactic that is so effective against these things?
Also, that's whatever. It's got the hounds and the rider. Yep. Focus on the rider. The hounds will run once the rider is slain.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing you guys know about this world in general is that that's actually not far off from the truth. Generally, like the thing that makes this whole army of the Cinder King so fucked up is that generally undead just sort of like when they're just sort of wander and like they're driven by very primordial basic instincts of like feed what's in front of them. They're not really capable of following long-term instructions and shit like that. So if you take powerful undead out of the equation, then that does that job. That takes them, that does sort of break them of the organizing will that drives them. So Yeah, so that's great, Brent. And then what happens is we see underneath the bridge, you are sort of positioned under there. Oh fuck, you've probably used up all your charges. Where are you gonna get? Someone's got to hand the charges down to Yuko, because he only took the ones from Giggles.
Who else has got the charges?
But yeah, so you get down there, you're sort of pleased with where you place them, Yuko. You're like, all right, and then you hear something goes scrambling out from the water, and it's sort of like they're moving up the sides of the bridges towards towards the, what do you call it, the main level. But then one of them sort of goes crawling up and looks over at you and kind of it opens up, and it's like a fucking lamprey's mouth inside. So it's kind of like with the circular thing with all these little jagged teeth, and it's kind of climbing up the wall towards you, Yuko. All right, now it is. Let's go with what's his name? With Crimson. So he's called out this thing. As these things are charging closer, you can see they're very much like those other things. But what's happened is there's giant pieces of or slabs of iron that have been like riveted into these things' bodies. And then there's a bunch of spikes that have been pushed through their neck. So there's these giant sort of like barbs around it, like, like what a bear collar is for a dog.
Yeah.
It's like some horrific version of that. And there's, I'll say there's 4 of these things. What are you going to do? What happens?
Well, now I think it's time to push myself.
Okay.
And use my War Machine ability.
Love it.
So I take 2 stress. And it reduces the threat level of the enemy I'm facing by 1.
Nice. Okay, cool. So
I will use my skirmish to try and attack them.
Okay.
I don't have any more anchor. Is that correct?
Did you use your 2 anchor?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can have a squad with you, and that will bolster your numbers again.
Right. And what does the potion do that Brent had me drink? I don't remember.
It adds 1 potency to your melee. So right now you're at so you're at tier 2 plus 1 for the fine weapon, plus 1 for the potency, and then probably your numbers are now equal, so that's not a factor. So you're effectively like tier 4 versus whatever tier these things are, and because of your ability, you've bumped their tier down by 1. I can tell you that what's effectively happened is you've bumped them from tier 2 down to tier 1, which means you've got 3 over them. So if you get a success in this, the effect will be to once again fucking annihilate these things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I roll.
And because of Brent, you're also in a controlled position right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because he told you exactly the tactics to use.
Right. Okay, so I roll 2 dice, and someone rolls for the squad?
Yeah, who wants to roll for the squad?
I rolled last time. Someone else can roll.
Steve, go ahead and roll for the squad.
Die, right? 1 die, right?
1 die, please. Yeah.
All right,
1 die. Oh, 3.
Oh, I got a 6.
Okay, so you got a 6. That's great, but because Steve rolled a 3, you take 1 more stress.
Uh-oh. I am almost max stress.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so you go seizing forward into these things. You want to give us a cool description of how you and the squad just annihilate this thing, driven by your fury?
Yeah, he's just. I was supposed to take the rider out, right?
Yep.
I just literally target straight in on the rider, and he kind of leaps off of one of the stone pillars on the bridge, like way more agile than you'd expect for his size.
Yep.
And he sort of flies over the spike of it and just drives his giant sword home right onto this thing.
Okay, so let me think here, because the rider's actually a more difficult thing. I think what actually happens is, because this thing, the rider has been riding in behind the hounds. He's got this giant shield on. He's got a vicious like mace in his hand as well too, and it's this crazy like oversized piece of wrought black iron. His as he rides in, you can see that his there's where his joints on his armor are. They're glowing red hot with whatever this unholy power that's seething within him, and his eyes are covered with these basically like cataracts inside this tiny little visor on his helmet. And he goes charging in, and you leap up, and you bring that giant sword of yours in, and you actually fucking unhorse him. He's knocked off this giant black destrier that goes charging past him, and he clatters to the ground. He's taking a massive hit. Not quite dead, but he's definitely taking a hit. And the rest of the squad has there's maybe one of these like undead dogs still up. And I think that what's going to happen is, you know what? And you guys can resist this. One of the squad members dies. He takes a level 3 harm from this thing, from one of these things.
Can I try and heal him with?
Oh yeah.
So I've got 2 uses of Doctor, and they can negate the effects of up to. Oh wait, no, up to my level. So I can negate 2 points of wounds.
So what that would do, Brent, is reduce. He's a level 3 harm is the thing that would effectively like kill this guy. If you reduce it by 1, that means it's only a level 2 harm.
I think I can reduce it to a level 1 as an action. The medic, while its rating determines the use of permission. While you may use it, they ignore wound penalties for a scene.
Not wound penalties. Wounds. Like this will kill him. Okay. Unless you've got somewhere to reduce the wound, like you can resist if you want, but do you have a medical ability to reduce it all, like damage that he takes altogether?
No, that one just wounds it. The only thing I could say is if I use my medical kit or medical. Let me see what the medical kit does.
Sure. Yeah, I can tell you. Medical kit. Medical kit. Spend for special armor. Oh, spend for special armor against disease or wound complications. Here's something that actually, okay, so this is something that, Jeff, if you chose to intervene, you got your shield, right? Oh, so you didn't take a tower shield, though. Tower shield, you could spend a point, like what you can do is you can spend a tick of your armor or your shield to reduce wound levels. That's one of the cool things that armor does. With a tower shield, you can actually use it to protect other people.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, well, I don't think you took a tower shield, though. You've got that special armor.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But let's think here. So you did use your action for that. You know what I'll let you do is if you want to spend your next action, you could use it to protect, which means you end up resisting a level 3 harm. But between the combination, you could tick off 2 points from your... what do you call it? From your whatever it is, the fitted finesse armor or fine armor. That would reduce it by 2, and you could also tick off 1 to reduce it by 2, so you take no damage whatsoever.
Okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
So I think what happens then, this thing is about to, the squad goes in and they start like jabbing and stabbing at this thing. They take 3 of the 4 like hell dogs down. And then this last one sort of looks, and its jaw opens up wider than you can imagine. It jumps in, and it's about to fucking kill one of the guys. I don't know which one of the squad members do you think?
I think that this was
the skittish dude.
Who giggles?
The same one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Giggles then, right?
Yeah. So Giggles is like,
Giggles.
and about to die, and then you leap in and bam, you slam a shield in, and you've just completely blocked this thing. Its mouth sort of like sort of closes around your shield, and you can see it starting to crack around. But you're in a great position you're still in a controlled position, so you're ready to fuck this thing up. And that knight is on the ground right now. Okay, so let's switch back to underneath the bridge. So we've got you've got 5 more ticks to get to set this bridge ready to blow. If someone wants to pay for a flashback, you could set up something like that. You whistle, and then someone lowers down the next charge for you there. Yuko,
We
but you guys didn't plan that ahead of time, so that's why it would
did.
cost a flashback.
I guess so. Otherwise, what are we gonna do?
So who has the rest of the charges?
Other members of the squad.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess I better spend a stress so I can get
Okay.
some my explosives.
Okay. So one of the squad members, one of the other ones, Giggles has already given up his things.
Right.
Jeff, tell me which guy throws his things down next.
Teeth does.
Teeth does. So this buck teeth goes running over and throws this thing over the side. You see it over the side and you're ready to go grab it. So I think this will be a maneuver thing probably. But I'll tell you right now what the consequence will be is if you do fail or you get a consequence with this, Steve, it will be a harm as one of these things, these like lamprey undead gets a chomp on you. You'll still be able to resist it, but that's what's going to happen. So right now, I think you're still in a risky position because you haven't you traded position for effect, but I don't think you committed to the desperate position. So this is still currently risky.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm trying to think if there's a devil's bargain available. I'm looking at the ticks here. I don't want to add anything to blow the bridge. You know what I'll do is I will fill in another tick of Giggles breaks. And what I think in the fiction, what it is Giggles seeing his ally get out of combat and run over to throw something down. He's going to misinterpret that as that guy running. So it'll put another tick in the clock towards Giggles breaking.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Well, my maneuver's not that strong. I think I better take it.
Okay. So Giggles has got. Ooh. This is where we are in Giggles breaking.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So go ahead and let's see here.
Okay. Come on, baby. Come on. 6.
Nice. Oh man, it's a shame you didn't trade a position for effect. Because that's you fill in 2 more. Man, you were in a great position to get those last grenades, and you sort of leap across, and one of those things slams its fist at you, and you realize that on the end, in the middle of its palm, is another fucking lamprey mouth. And it claws at you, and you definitely jump out of the way. Whoa! Grab the underside of the bridge, and start scampering along. And you've got the alchemical charges in your hand. Who wants to go next on the surface of the bridge? And remember, you guys can do group actions. You can help.
Yeah, maybe.
That big knight is starting to get up, and wants to bring that.
Can we do a group? Can we do a group attack?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah. So now, this is where you want to think of working the system too. So the group attack is good because it gives whoever is leading it extra dice for the attack. If what you want to do is boost the effect, because this thing is a higher tier. That knight is a higher tier than what the rest of the things you've been fighting. So if you want to boost the effect of it, and really try and fuck up this knight, that's where a setup effect might be better, or setup action.
I've got an idea. I'm going to try and set up Jeff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pistol and fire some shots. Like they might not penetrate the guy's armor, but I'll get him to. I'll distract him, and then you take him out with your giant weapon.
Okay, so you're currently in a controlled position, and you're sort of like engaged with this little like hell dog thing right now. Is the setup going to give +1 effect, or is going to I guess he doesn't need to improve his position.
So +1 effect, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And Jeff, what are you going to do? What is Crimson doing? Is he going to face this hell dog, or is he going to try and
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's his job. So
Okay. So I think that yeah. So let's roll. You're in a controlled position.
Yeah.
You are. I think sounds like skirmish to me. Do you need any? You're gonna get one. Someone else is gonna roll for the squad. Brent, it's your turn. So roll for the squad.
Okay,
Yeah.
my 1 dice.
Yeah. And actually, gently, you can actually choose to not have them help you if you want to avoid that, potential stress. I don't know how close you are to stressing out, but
Well, what happens if I have 6?
if you have 6, you're fine. If you have 7, that ain't good.
Okay, well, I can take one more. I have 5 right now.
Okay.
So should I roll or not to roll?
Yeah, roll.
Nice.
All right. Here we go.
Oh, Steve, did you mark a tick
I got a
on
6 again.
insight when you made that desperate roll?
Did I mark a tick on my? No, I didn't.
Yeah. So make sure you do that.
Not so good, Jeff. I rolled a 2.
Oh, so you got that extra stress now.
God damn it. Squad.
It's fucking
I rolled a
great.
6, though, so.
You did roll 6. Awesome. So you maybe you actually lift your shield up, which pulls this thing up. So it's still kind of like it's shaking, trying to get you, and you just bring your sword back and down and bifurcate this fucking thing. So you cut it right in half, and then you bring your sword back, and the knight staggers up to its full height, and you see this seething kind of fire comes from within, and you hear this sizzling sound of slabs of ham on a skillet, and the stink of burning flesh comes through as this thing stands itself up and gets ready to engage you. Underneath the bridge, we've got somebody with some alchemical charges in his hand. What is he going to do?
Well, he's got to rig up the last of the charges, doesn't he?
He does. You're currently in a risky position, which means if you trade position for effect, then you would be in desperate. You would fill in on a success. You'd fill in those last 3 ticks.
That's right.
So but you've got 2 dice right now. Do you have enough stress so you could push for an extra dice?
I have just enough.
Ooh, do you want to do that, or do you want a devil's bargain? Let me think. What would the devil's bargain be? The devil's bargain will be that you're gonna you won't be able to go back underneath the bridge the way you came. There's just too many of those fucking things swarming up. It'll just close off that route.
Okay, so I got to climb back up.
Yeah, you have to find some way to get back up, and you couldn't just scramble around the bottom.
Right.
You want that?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so you get extra dice from that. You got 3 dice.
3 dice.
Whew, desperate position.
Desperate. That's right.
Which means another tick.
It does.
Another tick on insight.
Okay.
And let's see how it goes.
I'm gonna roll.
Here it comes. Oh no!
Gotta move a die out of the way. Come on, baby, come on. 5.
Ho, 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 ho. So 5 means you did it. So, guys, the bridge is ready to be fucking blown. 5 means, you suffer a consequence. A serious harm, a serious complication occurs. So I think what happens, Steve, is, I did say that these fucking lamprey things were chasing after you. So serious harm, I believe, is a rank 3 harm.
Ooh.
Let me take a look here. So I think what happens is you get this thing in position. It's it's that scene in every zombie movie where they need to reactivate, or shark movie or some other fucking monster thing where they need to reactivate something, and you're like, I've got it, and then jump, it gets you.
Right.
So as you do that, one of these things goes down. It is a level 3 harm, which is severe. So let's see. It will be. Oh my gosh! I think it'll be. because like the examples are like impaled, broken leg, shot in chest, crushed rib. You know what's going to be? Torn throat. So here's the way consequences work, though. Steve, you've got torn throat, which is a level 3 harm. But as with every harm, you can resist it. And let's take a look at your playbook. As a sniper, oh no, you went with a light load. Oh,
Yeah.
that means there's no armor.
That's right.
Ooh. Okay, so here's what you could do: is you could say you resist it, which means it bumps it down to a 2, which would be
Right.
like, you know, it would be a level 2 harm, which, but then you have to roll for resistance, and I think it's a prowess resistance. So you would be suffering 6 stress minus whatever your highest roll is.
Ooh. That would give me a trauma.
You trouble, but I mean, it's better than a level. Well, I mean, a level 3 harm makes you helpless. So
does
that,
it?
yeah, like it's level 3 harm is you're still in the scene, and if a medic can get to you, you may be able to help you. But
if I can get to it, I can make you ignore 2 levels of it.
yeah, but at this point, I'm not sure you guys even know this would have happened. This is
Right.
all happening under the bridge, right? So do you want to resist it, Steve, and bump that down to a 2?
Oh man, I guess I'm kind
level-
of trapped.
Yeah, level 2 harm would be -1 dice. Oh, I was wrong, guys. Level 1 harm only gives you less effect. It bumps the effect down by 1. Whew. So what do you think, Steve? You gonna?
I guess I'd better.
Oh man, I'll bet you're bringing armor on the next mission, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool. So this thing leaps in, and instead of chomping on your neck, it sort of hits your back, and you kind of and hit this thing, and it falls back and scrambles down the bridge. Maybe it even falls back in the water. There's plenty of these things around.
Right.
So let's call write down on your playbook, Steve, under tier 2, write down sucker wound.
Sucker wound.
Sucker wound. And let's roll your resistance and see if you stress out. Gosh, I hope not.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice if I rolled a 6. Here we go. Rolling 2 dice. Come on, baby. Rolls a 6.
Yeah!
Rolls a 6.
Awesome.
Nice.
This thing chomps on you. Bat this thing off, and you're all right. All right, so back on top of the bridge, guys. Do you hear this shout from underneath, and do you scream out that it's planted?
Yes.
Okay. We don't need to do a flashback here. You guys, what was the symbol, guys? What's the it's planted, let's go kind of thing?
Get to the top.
Maybe.
Do you have a
Oh wait,
flare?
who's got the
Yeah,
flare
I was
gun?
gonna say I have a flare gun.
Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't. If you spend 1 stress, you get flashback by passing it to him.
Yeah, I just don't have the stress to spend.
No, I don't think anyone's got the stress to spend. So instead, what's the maneuver, guys? What's the
Oh hell, he could just improvise and go charges planted, run or something like that.
right? But I'm trying to think if you guys would hear that in the heat of combat from under the bridge.
Right.
You know what I'll do here? Let's just.
Wait, can you do like maybe like a certain gunshot or something?
What do you think? Well, again, like that would have to be like a gunshot under the bridge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else, guys? Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll just I'm gonna roll a fortune roll and see if it's heard. You guys are tier 2. So I'll just roll, and if I roll a 6, then you guys you've heard it. That sound fair?
Sure.
Oh. So you scream out, "Chargers are planted," but they don't hear you on the top, so you don't necessarily know that yet. But so let's on top. Either Crimson or what's his name could take an action, Or
Okay, so is a horseman down, or does he keep getting up?
no, he's stood up right now and he's about to engage Crimson.
Okay, I'll yell. No. Can they? Okay, so I start to realize things. This guy might be a bit more tougher than we thought. So I'll look around. I'll yell at. If I realize Crimson can't hear what I'm saying, I'll run to the bridge to yell over. Hurry up, Crimson! We need to get this done now.
Well, Crimson is okay. I think that's working the. You don't know that the things are planted.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying I want to run and yell at Crimson, hurry up and get these things planted. We need to get it done now. Like I'm not saying I know it's planted. I'm telling him to hurry up because we're running out of time.
You know, Crimson is Jeff's character, right?
Yeah. Oh shit. No. Sorry. Yeah. Right. I got the wrong characters. That's not what I meant. I want to talk to Steve's. I want to yell at Steve's character to hurry up.
I don't know. What do you guys
Echo.
think? Do you guys think that's a little too meta?
Well, we see this guy. We keep knocking him down, but he keeps getting up. And we're only here as long as it takes to get the charges planted. So I think we should find out how. Like someone should yell, "Hurry up with the charge." That's
I'll tell you my concern with
that would happen.
My concern with that, Brent, is I think the reason you're making that decision is because you know that the charges are planted right now. I'll leave it to the other two players to decide whether. Do you guys think that decision is contingent on knowing that the charges are placed, or do you think that does make sense in the context of the fiction? I'll abide by whatever you guys say.
Yeah, that's a really tough call. I mean,
yeah. To me, it makes sense. Like that's the one thing we're waiting for, and we're gonna get our asses handed to us. So it'd be like to let him know down there that we're in trouble up here.
Again, I'll leave it to the other players.
But
I mean, if you're just telling him to hurry up, and that's the goal there, I mean, that's reasonable, I guess. But
okay. So what I'll do is, there's Steve's back. What I'll do is I will roll another fortune roll to see whether he heard you. So let's see here. Come on. Nope. Fuck. 3 and a 2. Someone's shouting down at you. I will say that because you spent an action doing that, Brent, someone's shouting down at you, Yuko.
Okay.
Okay. What about so this knight is now getting pulling this thing back. The squad is sort of like trying to reposition. Crimson, what are you doing?
So there's currently no one to be skirmishing with, or
well, that knight has just stood up and he's about to engage you. Now, just like in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games, the dice rolls in this serve two purposes. So, like, they both serve what you're achieving and then what they do against you. So, like, if you roll if you suffer a harm in this or like some kind of consequence, it's going to be a harm of this thing fucking battering down on you.
Right. So I might as well skirmish with this thing.
Okay. So you race forward and engage this thing. Do you want the help of the squad or?
No, not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay. So, all right. So you're still in a controlled position though, because of the tactics that Brent's guy employed. So that's a benefit. You've got 2 points in skirmish, and let's see here. You, I guess, don't want to push yourself. So there may be a devil's bargain here. What would the devil's bargain be? Maybe. Oh, here's the devil's bargain. That's actually a little too bad. Maybe that devil's bargain will be that I'll put another tick in Giggle's brakes.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay. So you get another dice. Oh boy, Giggles is now One
away. Oh, not
away.
quite.
Not quite.
Right.
He's still one tick away from panicking and running.
All right, here we go. Oh, that was a huge roll. 2 5s and a 6.
Yes! So you go charging in against this thing. All right. Do you have anything that's modifying your... You got 1 potency from the Rage Venom. You get 1 boat boost to your tier from the... what do you call it? From your fine great sword. I don't think there's any other modifiers, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it puts you at effectively like a tier 4. So I think it's a great effect on this guy. So you charge forward, and he brings that mace back. And I think that you now show just how nimble, because you guys you're carrying a normal load, but you're moving like a light load. So it's this incredible fucking maneuver where he brings this thing back. You raise your shield up as if you're going to be a bulwark for it. And at the last second, as it's coming down, you sort of step forward and spin, and then slash like the length of your blade up against this, like the joint where his knee meets his, where the 2 leg joints meet.
Yeah.
And you slice out his knee, and he cries out, collapses down onto 1 knee, and then you carry this momentum around, spin, and then you clearly sever his head off. And as you do, there's this shower of embers going flying out from an end, as if you had like a fire hose that sprayed out what comes off of burning logs. And it sort of brings around.
Nice.
And guys, what I need, let me see here. I was going to check the rules for corruption. I think I need you guys to resist corruption. Corruption, where are you? Here we go. Corruption and blight. This guy's a threat 3 enemy. So you're going to gain 3 points of corruption. You can use resolve to resist it for the usual kind of penalties. Do you guys have any? You don't have any relics or anything on you, do you? Did anybody choose reliquaries?
No.
Oh, no.
No? Okay. Anybody got any build? I think, doesn't one of you have a heritage ability that helps resist corruption? Didn't someone take that? I think
wasn't that our...
Jeff?
What's that?
Didn't you take, strange, plus 2 dice to resist corruption?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, your heritage there. Okay, guys, so do you want to resist, which would reduce it by 1, or do you want to just take the 3 points of corruption?
No, I'll attempt to resist it.
And Steve, you don't take it. You're under the bridge.
Right, okay.
So it's only... And if you take a look, corruption works sort of like stress, guys. When you fill the corruption, you get a point of blight, which is a physical deformation of your ability, of your character. So what do you think, guys? Are you taking the corruption, or are you going to resist it?
Well, resist. So if we resist it, what you resist it with?
Resolve.
So 3 dice, and then if I get anything lower than a 5, I pass out.
Yeah. What do you think? Just take the 3?
Sure.
Wait, everyone has to resist?
Yeah, each of the guys.
Oh, like you individually resist it or get the corruption?
Yeah, individually resist it or you get the corruption.
Okay, I'll attempt to resist it.
Okay, what does corruption do anyway?
When you max out your corruption, you get a level of blight, and blight is like physical deformities. And as you go up levels of blight, you become more and more corrupted by the undead. So you're going to resist there, Jeff. So you only take 2 points of corruption then. And you are rolling. Your resolve is a 1, but you got +2 to resist corruption because of your Panyar heritage. So you're rolling 3 dice to see how much stress you take. Come on, no stress.
Oh, okay. And I take 3 corruption and...
No, 2 corruption.
Oh, it just resists it by 1?
Yeah, resist reduces it by 1.
Okay. And I need to roll a 6, basically.
Basically, yeah, to avoid... Come on.
Oh, I did. Thank God.
Nice. Okay.
Couldn't have handled it.
So these,
The first 2 dice I saw were a 2 and a 3.
and I think the way that this is manifesting, guys, is like as those embers are drifting down, they're leaving burning pockmarks in your skin. And the squad also suffers some corruption as well too. However, that seems to have cleared the bridge. So, Steve, knowing that the way back underneath the bridge is blocked, what are you going to do?
I guess I have to scramble back on top.
Okay. So why don't you give me a maneuver check? I think it sounds like it's going to be maneuver, right? That's your action.
Maneuver.
Scramble back up. So you're in a risky position, which is standard. And yeah, and you got that nasty wound on your back, so you're taking -1 dice as well.
Oh, and I've only got 1 die.
Yeah.
So
You've only got 1 die?
Yeah.
Oh boy. What do you want to do? Do you want to try calling out again?
Did I max my stress out last time?
I think you. I don't remember actually.
I didn't mark it down.
I don't think.
No, I took the devil's bargain.
Yeah, you took devil's bargain, so that's why the bridge, the way the back is filled.
Right.
Do you want to let one of the other guys go first with their actions? Like one of the things.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't see that it matters.
Well, I'm still like, if you're not responding to my yelling, I'll probably dispatch one of the troops to go grab you or find out what the hell's going on.
Okay, again, like that means they're rolling 1 dice on a maneuver. Because remember, they're rookies. They only have 1 dice they're rolling for things.
Okay, so that might be what I would do. Then I look at them and go, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And then and then I go for myself. Like I just look at these guys and go, "Yeah, no, that's not going to happen."
Okay, so why don't we do it this way, guys? Why don't we just make it a group check? Because like what I'm picturing, as soon as you sort of scramble under there, you're going to see him, and he's going to be like, "Fuck, help!" As all those lamprey things are coming at him, he'll try and leap and get to you. So what that means is that Steve will make a check as well, a maneuver check, and if he rolls a 1, 2, or 3, you'll suffer 1 stress. But otherwise, you get to count his dice towards that. Does that work for you, Brent?
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to make a maneuver check, and then Steve, what your maneuver is? Was your maneuver? Did you only have 1 dot in it?
I only have 1 dot. Yep.
Oh. Okay, so.
So isn't what they're doing an assist? Oh, that doesn't help.
It could be described that way as well. So let's do this.
Well, I've got 2 points in maneuver. Does that can that change how it's done or not really?
What you could do then is you could help him, but if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, then he takes 1 stress.
How bad are you for stress?
I got a 4.
Okay, well,
at least you got 2 spots left.
Okay, well, let's try that way. I've got 2 dice.
Yeah, okay. So you are scrambling down, and that's sort of, we'll do it the same narratively. That's sort of what happens. What we saw from before. And Steve,
you want to assist me?
I think you're assisting him.
Well, I've got 2 dice, though.
No, hold on, sorry, no, it's a group roll, but what is it? You're helping him. Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, I just thought it would be. Well, I guess if he can use my 2 dice.
Well, that's the way the group roll works, is that you get to roll your dice and you contribute towards it. But if you roll 1, 2, or 3 as your highest roll, then he takes 1 stress from that.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's go with that.
Do it that way? Okay, cool. So once you make, well, either way, guys, do you want to make your roll first, or you want Steve to make his roll first, if he does it on his own?
Well, make your roll first, and then that means I might not give you stress.
Well, no, you still have to roll because it's a group roll.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I have to take stress, otherwise I've got no dice to roll.
No, you'd roll 2, but you take the lowest of the 2.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like disadvantage. Well, let's see how Brent does. Let's maybe he's gonna get you a good 6.
Okay, so I've got 2 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? I can't assist myself because if I push myself, I'll be in trauma.
You could take a devil's bargain. What would it be? I'm not going to put another tick. I'm not going to have Giggles break that way. That's just boring. The Devil's Bargain will be. What do you have in your pack right now? Is there anything that could be lost from there?
The bandolier. I've got a hand weapon.
Yeah, I don't want to make you lose those necessarily because that's not.
I haven't used my black shot.
What I'll say is, I'll take suggestions from you guys. I'm having a hard time thinking of what the Devil's Bargain might be here, because it's got to be. It's effectively it's a consequence that doesn't relate to the task itself. It's not like you'd fall in the river or something like that. It's just some other thing happens.
The creatures start climbing up over the side of the bridge.
Yeah, I could make it that there's that like they basically blocked the far end of the bridge, so you have to go through them to get off the bridge in time. But that's pretty bad. Do you want to take that, Brent, as your Devil's Bargain?
Oh, then we get fucked.
Well, no, you still have to like make a roll to go through them. It's just that you have to get through them. What do you think?
Yeah, but at least I'll put our whole group back together again.
Okay. Yes, plan for tomorrow. We don't need to think 2 steps ahead. Okay, so that means you've got 3 dice you're rolling, Brent. Let's see how you do.
All right. Come on, 3 dice.
Big money.
I got me a 5.
Ooh, a 5 means you do it, but there's a consequence. So you suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. Ooh.
Okay, what happens if I start from 1 harm?
No, it's not you this is you're just contributing dice to Steve's roll.
Oh, so Steve.
First off, let's see. Steve might roll 2 6s. You're rolling 2 dice now, Steve, and taking the lowest of the 2.
How come I'm taking the lowest of the 2?
Because you effectively have a 0 in maneuver right now.
Okay. Is there any way I can get rid of that condition? Taking the lowest.
You could take 2 stress to get an extra dice. No, to get rid of the position, you need healing. So you're gonna want to talk to your medic about that.
Okay. So minus D means you take the lower die.
That's right. If you got 0, you take 2d6. Well, no, the -1 doesn't mean that. What -1 means is you lose 1 dice from your dice pool. And right now you have dice pool of 0. And when you have a 0, you roll 2d6 and take the lowest.
Okay, I see. So the assist that I'm getting from
you're not getting an assist. It's a group action.
Oh, okay.
Try and get you up, and you've already got a 5, so you've already got something with a consequence. And the consequence, I'll tell you guys, is going to be desperate possession. That's consistent with what's like. If you guys are, there's undead coming from Carlsberg, and there's undead blocking the bridge. That seems to me like a really fucking dangerous place to be. So we already know you're succeeding for sure in getting back up top. It's just a question of whether you roll 2 6s. And don't suffer that desperate position.
I'm gonna take 2 stress so I can roll 1 die.
Wow, so you're at maxed out. Okay, so here we go. 1 dice. Do you feeling you're gonna get that 6?
Feeling lucky?
Here it comes.
Feeling lucky, punk? I don't know about a 6, but I'll take a 4 or a 5 at this point.
Well, you've already got a 4 or 5.
What's that?
You've already got a 4 or 5 from Brent's group roll.
So you can already use my 5.
So I don't have to roll at all?
Well, you have to roll because like that's what I'm saying. Like roll anyway, because if you roll 2 6s, then you've done better than Brent's roll.
Oh, okay. And okay. So I shouldn't. So I shouldn't take my 2 stress.
Don't. And I should just roll. Yeah, just roll and see what happens. Okay. If you fail, who gives a shit? You already got a 5. Because of the group roll, you've already got a 5.
I don't know. Okay, let's do it.
Here comes.
All right.
2 6s.
No, 4 and a 5.
4 and a 5. Okay. So you leap and you sort of pull yourself up. And I think, Crimson, you look over and you see this having dropped this giant, this giant knight. And you look around and the squad looks fucking panicked. You can see there are soldiers. You can hear that drums again, who are making their way through down the far end of the bridge. And you see what's his name? Why do I keep forgetting your fucking character's name, Brent? It's terrible. Alban.
No.
Albin has pulled up Yuko. So these two masked Orite guys scramble to the top of the bridge. You guys look down. Oh my God! There's fucking those lamprey undead that are slowly slithering their way down the bridge towards you. There's a whole fucking legion of these things stomping down. Like it's as if the Cinder King's army is ready to march its way across the bridge and go and crush the legion. What are you guys gonna do?
Holy shit!
You got to find a way to get off this fucking bridge. You're in a desperate position, which means, hey, you get XP for every roll you make. What are you gonna do?
What, can we just push our way through?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll make that a. Do I do it as a clock or do I do it as a resistance?
Like we just shoot our way, fight our way, like just, and not like let's stay and kill everyone. Let's just like rush through and keep going.
Well, here's what I will say is that I will say if you do it as a group, that's a group roll. So just one person, you'll take someone is the highest. Maybe it's, you know, you guys have some charges left over. So if someone, say, wanted to, just as an example of working the fiction rather than working the, you know, what's on the sheets, the fiction right now we've established is that every one of those fucking rookies has those alchemical charges. I'm assuming that the reason that is because if one of them gets lost or gets damaged, you would have enough to charge with to set the charges to blow the bridge with only some of them, because you already did that clock. But the fiction says there's other things in there. Maybe you can use those things and rig to, like, you know, do a kind of like, you know, Molotov cocktail type thing.
Well, and I've got that black shot that I can use with my pistol, right? That...
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah. And black shot is fucking deadly. It boosts the potency of the things. So what you could try is you could use a group action and then just describe what everyone else is doing to sort of like to contribute to that collective maneuver. Now, there's a potential of suffering stress if you roll a 1, 2, or 3. If one of the contributors has that as their highest roll. So I don't know which you guys could weather that potential outcome, but or individual. What you could do is individually try and break through, but that gives you a lot more opportunities to fuck up in the desperate position. What do you guys think? You try and push through all as one, or do you try and run individually?
Well, how are you doing for if I get one more? Oh no, I guess I can accept one more stress before passing out, so I'm fine.
All right.
Okay.
Well, how are you guys doing?
Get through together.
Oh wow. He can take 2 more stress, I think.
Yeah, I can take 2 more.
So what do you think, Steve-O?
I think we should push through as a group.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're taking the lead on it, then what that does, looking at the rules for group actions. Okay, so you get to make a roll. What actions are we taking here, guys? What's the sort of thing we see happening to get you guys all through?
Okay, you see Albin loading his pistol with the black shot and just like firing away and moving forward.
Awesome, love it. Okay, so that means you're probably rolling shooting to contribute. What's Crimson doing?
Maybe he's gonna actually use his flares just as like a distraction.
Yeah, I can see that. So,
like trying to you know, like fire them. Like, the undead, how smart are they?
Depends. Well, yeah, with this leader gone, unless there's someone else who's leading them, it's just raw instinct. So yeah, I think that well, you don't have any points in shoot.
No, I do not.
So, what I think is you'd be rolling 2d6 and taking the lowest of the 2. Unless you wanted to spend 2 points of stress to get a dice in it and just roll 1 dice. If you want to lean into what you're best at, what you could be is like, as these other guys are blazing away, you could be the fucking tip of the spear who's charging down into them.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Okay. And then Steve, what are you doing to lead the action here?
To lead the action, well, they should form a phalanx, but well,
Well, here's what Steve, just as a reminder, in the fiction, we've established that there are these leftover charges. So
right.
if you wanted to say use rig to effectively set up like a Molotov cocktail type thing,
Sure.
you could use one of those charges and roll that and try and toss that sucker in there, and then you'd be rolling rig. Crimson is rolling skirmish, and Alban is rolling shoot, because he's blazing away with his gun and black shot.
That sounds good.
Okay. Desperate roll, guys, which means that Steve, you get to tick another, because you're the leader, you get to tick another insight one.
Or I'll have to pick another one.
Prowess, actually.
My insight is full. Yeah.
Prowess is full?
My insight is full.
No, sorry, it's prowess, because you're using... Oh, no, you're using rig, yeah.
Okay.
Insight's already full?
Yeah.
All right, so just add another point. Actually, erase it, and then fill in one more, a new pie.
Okay.
One tick in a new pie or clock, and then what you'll actually be able to add one dot to one of your insight skills after this.
Okay.
So, actually, you know what? Fuck it, Steve. Were you intending to add that dot to rig or to something else?
To scout.
To scout. Okay. Yep. So you can go ahead and do that now. You haven't used your special ability yet.
Aim.
Yeah. Oh, it's for a shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got black powder. You could do a really cool aimed black powder shot.
I think that the charge, like right now, you guys, the thing that's counting against you for your effect is the number of these lamprey undead things that are there.
Right.
But the charge would, because it's got such a scale, it would hit so many things. I think it would counteract that.
Okay.
So, Steve, why don't you roll rig? You've got 2 dice in there.
Okay.
Oh, I've got a devil's bargain for you, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
If there's it's not going to be like you yourself, the player, will learn before the end of the session.
Okay.
But yeah, do you want to take this devil's bargain?
I have to find out what it is later.
Yeah, you'll have to find out what it is later. I will tell you that it is a 6-tick clock.
I think I'll just stick with my 2 dice.
Ooh, desperate action with only 2 dice.
Oh wow! All right, shit.
That is a bold man.
All right, no, I'll take your devil's bargain.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and make your roll, and then guys, you guys can go ahead and make your rolls as well. And I will, because I'm going to apply the results of the desperate action to all of you guys, both of you guys gets to put a tick in whatever skill you're using or whatever action you're using. Put a tick in the pie for whatever the corresponding attribute is.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that?
So like, because you're using skirmish, right?
Yeah. So put a pie piece on prowess?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And go ahead and make your rolls, guys.
I rolled a 6.
You rolled a 6. Nice.
All right. Let's see what I got here.
So Q goes up and a bunch of these things go flying off the bridge. And you guys are charging forward.
I also rolled a 6.
Nice. That's a crit.
I got a 5, so not quite as good, but
still pretty fucking good. 2 crits. 2 seconds is a crit. So what happens, guys, is that goes off, and basically that sort of, as you're rumbling along, that sets off the charges as well that are behind you. So you're sort of like, the whole thing is rumbling, and as you're racing along, you hear the explosions from behind you, and these plumes of fire are blasting up. It's like green and like blue alchemical fire that's annihilating the bridge behind you and sends it plunging down into the rushing waters below you. And as you make your way across, too, you weakened the bridge such that you guys finish racing your way across. And then the first stretch of the bridge goes down as well. So you've actually managed to take down 2 parts of the bridge with 2 separate shots. So that's amazing. You guys run to the far side of the bridge, and I think that you probably don't stop running until you are well beyond the view of the bridge, and it's well out of sight. The glowing orange sunrise that you see from the burning city is actually lost to your sight by this point. Now, what I wanted to sort of was looking for is the end. So, guys, here's what you gain for mission rewards. First up, the Marshal. Would you kindly add +1 to morale? Your morale is now an 8.
Nice.
Which means, because you've got 8, you now have 2 campaign actions this turn. You also gain, this is for the commander, -1 time. So would you kindly erase 1 tick from the clock under time? You have delayed the enemies. And commander, you can take -1 pressure as well, because you've significantly delayed the undead armies. Your pressure is now at a 0.
Nice.
So that is really well done. You guys come back to the morale going up. I think hearing the rumblings of the explosions in the distance, when you guys get back into camp, there's just like crazy, screaming, cheering, greeting for you guys. So really well done. Also, none of your soldiers died, which means you don't suffer any morale loss from the loss. Now that you're back at camp, let's just very quickly, we won't do the downtime stuff, but let's do your questions to see about XP, just so we can mark that shit down. Who wants to go first? I've got Heavy open first. Let's do Jeff first. Jeffrey.
Yeah. Okay.
So first off, did you survive the mission?
I did.
You did. So you're getting 1 XP for that. Did you help your squad through might or fortitude? I say abso-fucking-lutely yes.
Yeah, might was pretty much all he did.
Absolutely. Did you bring into play you don't have any traumas, so you don't have to worry about that. Did you bring into play your heritage? You did, I think, when you resisted corruption.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And per highest threat of enemy faced, that would be a 3.
Nice.
So you gain 3, 4, 5, 6 XP. Jeff, you can choose to put those ticks in any of the clocks that you have on your page. You can go towards getting a special ability, to one of the attributes, or towards specialist to learn a specialist ability from some other worksheet.
Cool. I'm just going to put 6 down for now.
6 down.
Think
Pretty
about
fucking good. Next up is Sniper. Steve-O.
Yo.
Did you survive the mission?
Yes.
You did. Did you help your squad through keen observation or key shots?
Keen observation or key shot. I didn't make a lot of key shots. But keen
I'd say when you were on the tree, you pointed out movement on the bridge, and then when we knew there were guys there, without your knowledge, we could have walked into a trap.
I totally agree. Yep, I totally agree.
Good call.
Did you bring your heritage or traumas into place? Your heritage is all right.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
shit.
Do my...
Fuck balls. You know what you forgot about, Steve? You have
my vengeful.
Yeah. So potency would have been bumped by 1, which means that like you could have like Yeah, maybe like you could have not suffered that that penalty when you guys scrambled from underneath the bridge.
Right.
Okay, so
Well, that would have. All right.
that's all right. So that's neither here nor there. So that's did your heritage come into play? What do you think? None of your heritage
Well,
powers came in, but did you think you played up being an Allright at some point?
I don't know if I played it up. I mean, I used alchemy, which is an all right quality. I don't know. I'm having trouble thinking of a way that I used my.
I'm not 100% sure that there's a specific way that you even like. If you described your mask or something like that at some point, maybe I would have thought, but I don't know.
Right.
But you do get 3 XP from the threat you faced, so you get 3, 4, 5 XP. You go ahead and fill that in wherever you want, and remember to add your dot to your whatever insight skill you wanted because you filled that clock.
Alrighty.
And then Brent, did you survive the mission?
I sure as hell hope so.
Yep.
I feel like I
You
did.
helped your squad through medicinal knowledge or emotional comfort. I think absolutely several times.
Yep.
Did you bring your heritage, or you don't have trauma? Did you bring your heritage into play?
I did. I was stern.
You were stern. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. And for highest threat, so you got 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6 XP to fill in on any clock you want.
Cool. Hey, how do I get? I realized when I took alchemy, probably the first thing I should have taken is first aid. What do I do to get a special ability?
Start filling in. You see your clock above the special abilities?
Yes.
Start filling that sucker in. Put all 6 points in there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's fucking exciting, guys. That's what the next phase we will play, because I'll leave it. I'll first put it to you guys. Do you guys want to play this again?
No,
yeah. I don't mean right now, but
yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. So so then what we will do, guys, is the next phase will be the campaign phase. So what we will do is the things to think about is for the quartermaster, Brent, take a look at your quartermaster options. You're going to have 2 campaign, because your morale is an 8 or higher right now. You get 2 campaign actions for free, and you can blow supply to take extra ones if you want. One of the ways you clear stress is by taking the what do you call it? Taking the liberties downtime thing. So that's something to our campaign action. The commander will want to decide what mission they want to pursue next. You guys will find yourself in the Western Marches. So do you want to prefer an assault, or do you want to prefer a scouting mission? So that'll be for Steve to decide. And for the Marshal, the next thing, I don't think you've got anything to do specifically right now. None of the none of the soldiers died, so that's really great. None of them suffered any wounds, I don't think, so that's really great. I will show you the clocks I've got going right now. So bridges blown, that's fine. Hidden foes, we don't need that anymore. So Giggles Breaks is still standing at a 3. And what I'll allow you to do is when you take either a Liberties action, I will clear this altogether. So Giggles will, once he gets some booze in him, it'll get rid of that. You want to see what your Devil's Bargain was there, Steve? Your last one?
Okay.
I'll show you. I'll try and do this in the proper way. So this is the clock you've got.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see what it's called?
Oh, dear.
It is called Fluke Infestation.
Oh, my gosh.
So when that thing it left a fluke inside your body.
Oh, good.
So you got a clock that's ticking away. Now there will be ways for this to become evident. I think if you take what's the downtime or the campaign action that where is it here? The quartermaster, the one that involves medicine. I think that will identify this, and then you can take a get someone to get a long-term action in mind to clear that fucking thing out of you.
Okay.
But yeah, what is it? Yeah. So anyway, so that is the that's Band of Blades, guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is a lot like Blades in the Dark.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it's what's
Well,
called.
I figured it's a take on it.
Forge in the
But
Dark game.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for taking this game for a spin. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed running this guy. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session tonight, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below. And I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. If we screwed up any rules as well, too. This is really only the second time I've really made an effort to try and run Forge in the Dark game. So please feel free to provide any kind of suggestions as to how I could fix it and run it better next time. Otherwise, we hope you have enjoyed, and we will see you again very, very soon.